Hollywood's golden age wasn't so golden. Imagine your favorite star caked in week-old sweat, reusing unwashed costumes and dodging rats on set. This wasn't the exception, it was the norm. Glamour outside, filth behind. In the silent film era, Hollywood was all about speed, hygiene and safety, barely on the radar. Sets were cobbled together with reused materials, and cleanliness wasn't a priority. This chaos turned film productions into playgrounds for rats and cockroaches. These pests weren't just unwelcome, they were practically part of the crew, darting through props like they owned the place. Costumes didn't fare much better. Studios treated wardrobes like communal hand-me-downs. Cleaning them wasn't a priority. Iconic stars like Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks wore outfits that had been through multiple productions. Sweat and grime built up over time, and spot cleaning was often the best anyone could do. Under those hot stage lights, actors had no choice but to grin and bear it, literally. Makeup was another nightmare. Personal makeup kits weren't a thing yet. Everyone shared the same jars of foundation, powders, and brushes, which were rarely cleaned. Bacteria spread easily, leading to breakouts, eye infections, and irritated skin. Even stars like Greta Garbo couldn't escape these side effects. Studios provided cheap, unsanitary products, leaving actors to deal with the consequences. Sets weren't any cleaner. Outdoor shoots were often in remote locations with no running water or proper restrooms. Indoor stages were worse, poorly ventilated and stifling under harsh lights, which encouraged mold growth. Productions involving animals added another layer of filth, as their waste was rarely cleaned up promptly. Actors had no room to complain. Studio heads like Louis B. Mayer and Carl Laemmle were more concerned with meeting deadlines than health concerns. Complaints could cost you your career. The show must go on wasn't motivational. It was a thinly veiled threat. By the late 1920s, the transition to sound brought minor improvements. But sanitation was still low on the list of priorities. The glamorous image of silent films hid a much dirtier reality, proving early Hollywood's charm had a decidedly grimy side. Costume nightmares and shared wardrobes. Costumes in the 1930s and 1940s were the heart of Hollywood's magic. Stunning gowns, sharp suits, and intricate period outfits brought movies to life. But behind the scenes, wardrobe maintenance was a hygiene disaster. Studios saw costumes as investments, reusing them relentlessly with little thought to cleanliness. Even the biggest stars weren't spared. Joan Crawford and Bette Davis, icons of their time, often wore spot-cleaned outfits drenched in sweat from intense stage lights. Washing delicate fabrics like silk or sequins was considered too risky. Instead, costumes were steamed and sprayed with perfume to mask odors. This quick fix didn't remove bacteria, leaving actors stuck in musty, uncomfortable clothing. Extras had it worse. Historical epics like Gone with the Wind, 1939, required layers of elaborate costumes, corsets, petticoats, and military uniforms. These pieces were shared across productions and rarely cleaned. During Gone with the Wind, many extras suffered rashes and itching from unwashed undergarments. Studios brushed off complaints, showing how little they cared for the comfort of lower-tier workers. Animal costumes and furs were another nightmare. Popular in historical and fantasy films, they soaked up sweat and grime during long shoots. Washing them wasn't an option without ruining the material, so they turned into breeding grounds for bacteria. Actors wearing these costumes often described the smell as unbearable. Studios predictably ignored the complaints. Some stars fought back. Claudette Colbert, while filming It Happened One Night, 1934, refused to wear shared undergarments. She demanded freshly made items and used her star power to secure better treatment. Unfortunately, most actors, especially extras, lacked the clout to push for change. The lack of hygiene in costume departments was an open secret. For decades, glamorous outfits on screen hid the uncomfortable reality faced by those who wore them. It wasn't until unions began advocating for higher standards in the mid-20th century that real improvements were made. Until then, Hollywood magic came with a heavy and dirty price: makeup, mercury, and the health risks. Makeup in old Hollywood was both a blessing and a curse. It created the iconic looks that defined the era, but came with serious risks. Toxic ingredients and poor hygiene made it a health hazard for actors. The use of dangerous ingredients like lead and mercury was common. Lon Chaney, known for his roles in silent horror films like The Phantom of the Opera, 1925, relied on white face paint packed with lead. It gave him the ghostly look he needed but caused severe skin problems. Over time, the damage was permanent. Chaney, like most actors, accepted this as part of the job. Makeup tools were another issue. Brushes and sponges were shared without cleaning, making infections inevitable. Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell of the 1930s, developed an eye infection during Dinner at 8, 1933, thanks to contaminated tools. Extras had it worse. They often used leftover products from the stars with zero regard for hygiene. One of the most shocking cases was Buddy Ebsen, cast as the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz, 1939. His aluminum-based makeup caused severe respiratory issues, forcing him to leave the role. Instead of addressing the safety concerns, the studio simply replaced him. Jack Haley, his replacement, was given a paste version of the makeup. While safer than powder, it still caused discomfort. The message was clear: actors were replaceable. Safety wasn't a priority. Speaking out was risky. Actors who complained were labeled difficult, which could end their careers. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that regulations began addressing these dangers. By then, many stars had already paid the price. The flawless faces of old Hollywood hit a harsh reality. Beneath the glamour was an industry willing to sacrifice its stars' health for perfection. Those shimmering eyes and perfect lips came at a far greater cost than audiences ever realized. Dark side of hair departments. Hair departments in old Hollywood had one goal: perfection. But behind the glamorous styles, hygiene and safety often took a back seat. Stylists worked tirelessly to transform actors, but their methods were far from clean. Shared tools were a constant problem. Combs, brushes, and curling irons were rarely sanitized even when used on dozens of actors. Head lice outbreaks were common, especially among extras in big productions. During Cleopatra, 1963, extras complained of itching and scalp irritation from reused wigs and hairpieces. Leading actors got slightly better treatment, but infections were still a risk. Chemical hair treatments were brutal. Actresses like Rita Hayworth endured intense processes to meet Hollywood's beauty standards. Hayworth's signature red hair required frequent bleaching, leaving her scalp raw and her hair brittle. She later admitted it was painful, but felt it was necessary to keep her career alive. Many actresses suffered in silence, knowing they had little choice. Wigs and hairpieces added to the misery. These were reused across productions with minimal cleaning. Judy Garland, while filming The Wizard of Oz, 1939, had to wear a tight wig cap to hide her natural hairline. It caused severe irritation, but her complaints were dismissed as trivial. Actors rarely had control over their hairstyles. Studios dictated every detail of their appearance. Refusing a treatment or style risked being labeled difficult, a career-ending accusation at the time. Change didn't come quickly. It wasn't until unions stepped in that hair departments began improving hygiene and safety. Before that, actors bore the brunt of unsafe practices, all in the name of looking flawless on screen. The iconic hairstyles of old Hollywood dazzled audiences, but they came at a cost. Beneath the perfectly coiffed waves and glamorous updos was an industry willing to sacrifice its stars' health for the sake of beauty, water woes, and bathing blues. In early Hollywood, basic hygiene was a luxury, especially during outdoor shoots. Clean water and proper facilities were often ignored in the rush to finish productions. Cast and crew endured uncomfortable and unsanitary conditions, though these hardships were rarely acknowledged publicly. One infamous example was the filming of Ben-Hur, 1925. Shot in the sweltering Italian desert, actors and extras spent days in heavy, unwashed costumes under relentless heat. With no proper bathing facilities, sweat and dirt built up quickly. Reports described extras developing severe rashes and infections from the combination of grime and tight garments. The studio's focus stayed on the epic chariot race scenes, offering little support to those suffering on set. Water scenes were no better. During The Ten Commandments, 1923, Extras stood for hours in stagnant pools to simulate Moses parting the Red Sea. The water, filled with bacteria, led to skin infections and other health problems. Studios brushed off complaints, prioritizing dramatic visuals over worker safety. With no access to showers, actors and crew improvised. Perfumes and powders became survival tools, especially for actresses expected to look glamorous at all times. Carole Lombard, a 1930s star, was known to carry scented powders in her bag to combat the effects of long, sweaty days. Unfortunately, these quick fixes barely masked the discomfort. The lack of clean water wasn't just gross, it was dangerous. Illnesses spread rapidly on crowded sets, with stomach bugs and skin infections becoming routine. Studios rarely addressed these outbreaks, leaving workers to manage on their own. Even into the 1940s, hygiene on outdoor shoots remained an afterthought. Profit and efficiency always came first. It wasn't until unions fought for better standards that portable restrooms and water stations became standard. By then, countless actors and extras had already suffered for the sake of Hollywood's grand illusions. Plight of extras and background. Extras in early Hollywood had it rough. While stars enjoyed some level of comfort, background actors were treated as disposable. These workers were essential for grand spectacles like historical epics, but faced the harshest conditions. Hygiene standards? Non-existent. Studios didn't care about their well-being. Films like Quo Vadis 1951 and Ben-Hur 1959 relied on thousands of extras. These extras spent hours crammed into poorly ventilated holding areas, often without proper restrooms or water. On Ben-Hur, reports described extras collapsing from heat exhaustion. Heavy costumes, long hours, and scorching sun made it unbearable. The studio's response? Push through to stay on schedule. The set of Spartacus, 1960, wasn't any better. Extras endured grueling shifts under blazing lights with few breaks. Clean water? Rare. Meals? Sure, but no way to wash hands before eating. Food poisoning outbreaks were common. Complaints went ignored, as deadlines always came first. Then there was The Ten Commandments, 1956. Extras playing Israelites walked barefoot across burning desert sand. Burns and blisters were inevitable, but no relief was provided. When extras protested, they were told to keep working or leave. Studios made it clear. Extras were replaceable. The inequality didn't stop there. Wardrobe departments handed extras old, unwashed costumes, while stars received fresh, tailored outfits. Makeup and hairstyling were reserved for lead actors. Extras were left to fend for themselves, highlighting the stark divide between the stars and the background players. The public never saw these struggles. Studios carefully maintained Hollywood's glamorous image, ensuring the realities faced by extras stayed hidden. It wasn't until unions stepped in during the mid-20th century that conditions improved. Extras finally gained access to clean facilities, fair treatment, and basic protections. Despite their invisibility, extras were the backbone of Hollywood's biggest productions. They filled the screens and brought epic stories to life, often at great personal cost. Pest problems on set. Pests were an ongoing nightmare on early Hollywood sets. Studios spared no expense on elaborate sets and big-budget films, but skimped on cleanliness. Rats, cockroaches, and fleas thrived, turning sets into breeding grounds for discomfort and disease. Animal-heavy productions were the worst offenders. The Big Trail, 1930, with its many livestock scenes, faced constant sanitation issues. Horses and oxen left waste everywhere, attracting flies and rodents. Cleaning crews couldn't keep up, leaving cast and crew to endure the stench and pests. Actors often worked uncomfortably close to these unsanitary conditions. Mutiny on the Bounty, 1935, was another pest-filled production. Filmed on a replica ship, the set became overrun with rats. Actors joked about their furry co-stars, but the humor wore thin when the rodents began contaminating food supplies. Their constant scurrying made scenes difficult to film and added an extra layer of frustration to an already challenging shoot. Indoor sets weren't safe either. Studios like Warner Brothers often battled cockroach infestations, especially in wardrobe storage areas. Costumes, left hanging for months between productions, became pest hotels. More than one actor found an unwelcome critter in their clothes right before filming. Fleas were another issue, especially in historical epics. Wool costumes combined with animals created the perfect storm. Extras frequently complained of itching and flea bites with little sympathy from the studios. Addressing the problem wasn't a priority. As long as filming stayed on schedule, comfort didn't matter. These infestations revealed just how little studios cared about worker health and safety. The focus stayed firmly on production deadlines. Even when actors and crew raised concerns, pest control remained an afterthought. By the mid-20th century, unions pushed for better conditions, including regular pest control on sets. But for decades, countless cast and crew members had already suffered through the itching, scratching, and outright disgust caused by Hollywood's pest problems. All for the sake of movie magic. Celebrity hygiene habits exposed. Hollywood's golden era sold perfection. Stars were glamorous, untouchable, and seemingly flawless. But behind the scenes, their hygiene habits told a very different story. Studios worked overtime to hide these quirks, preserving the illusion of untarnished beauty. Take Clark Gable, for example. Known as one of Hollywood's greatest leading men, he had a not-so-charming secret: bad breath. The culprit? Poor dental hygiene and gum disease. During Gone with the Wind, 1939, Vivien Leigh reportedly dreaded kissing scenes with him and complained about it to the crew. Still, the studio brushed off the issue to keep Gable's heartthrob image intact. Marilyn Monroe, the epitome of beauty, had her own surprising habits. She often slept in her makeup, rarely taking it off after long days. This led to frequent breakouts, requiring makeup artists to work overtime to conceal blemishes before filming. Thanks to studio-backed beauty teams, her on-screen glow remained untouched by her off-screen routines. Charlie Chaplin, known for his genius, wasn't so keen on personal grooming. He was said to skip baths during busy shoots, focusing entirely on his work. While his behind-the-scenes habits were less than pristine, audiences never saw it. His lovable tramp character stayed as charming as ever. Even Greta Garbo, a symbol of elegance, dealt with hygiene struggles. Low-quality makeup products of the time worsened her skin problems. Combined with her aversion to strict skincare routines, it wasn't an easy fix. Studios provided her with exclusive treatments to keep her screen image flawless. These anecdotes reveal the gap between Hollywood's polished image and its stars' real lives. Studios controlled every detail of public perception, ensuring audiences saw only the glamour. While these habits might seem shocking now, they remind us that even old Hollywood's icons were human. Behind the glitz, they were just people with quirks and flaws. The carefully crafted mystique kept audiences in awe, never questioning the less glamorous truths. When standards began to change. By the 1950s and 1960s, Hollywood finally started cleaning up its act, literally. Decades of unsanitary practices tolerated in the name of profit were being challenged. Unions, advocacy groups, and a growing focus on worker rights pushed studios toward change. Progress was slow, but it was significant. One big shift came in makeup departments. Shared tools like brushes, sponges, and powder jars were replaced with personal makeup kits. Artists were required to sanitize their tools and create individualized kits for each actor. This simple change dramatically reduced the skin infections and eye irritations that had plagued stars for years. Wardrobe departments followed suit. Costumes were no longer treated as sacred relics. Studios began using fabrics that could withstand regular cleaning. Disposable undergarments became standard, sparing actors the awkwardness of sharing intimate garments. Stars like Audrey Hepburn and Elizabeth Taylor used their influence to demand these upgrades, helping set a new standard for hygiene. Set facilities also improved. Portable restrooms, clean water stations, and shaded rest areas became common on outdoor shoots. Productions like Lawrence of Arabia, 1962, filmed in remote deserts, took extra steps to ensure cast and crew had access to clean and functional facilities. Conditions were far from perfect, but compared to the days of buckets and barren landscapes, it was a major step forward. Unions like the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, led the charge. SAG introduced rules requiring studios to provide sanitary conditions and protect workers' health. These new standards extended to extras and background actors, ensuring even the most overlooked workers were treated better. Despite the progress, challenges remained. Pests, illnesses, and grueling hours still tested cast and crew, but Hollywood had come a long way from its early days of filth and neglect. The reforms of the mid-20th century laid the groundwork for a cleaner, safer industry. Lights, camera, and odor? Hollywood's brightest stars had some of the worst hygiene habits, and we're about to expose them all. From Clark Gable's dental dilemmas to Lana Turner's rare showers and even Marlon Brando's notorious on-set stench, join us as we pull back the curtain on Tinseltown's smelly secrets. It's time to get real about Hollywood's dirtiest legends. Get ready to be transported back to the golden age of cinema, where the allure often masked some very human flaws. We'll share jaw-dropping stories and intimate details that reveal a side of these stars you've never seen before. Clark Gable. Known for his role in Gone with the Wind, he had a reputation for bad breath. Co-star Vivien Leigh, who played Scarlett O'Hara, often complained about his dental hygiene. Leigh once said, "Kissing Clark Gable in Gone with the Wind was not that exciting. His dentures smelled something awful." This complaint was not isolated. Numerous accounts from those who worked with Gable mentioned his persistent bad breath. The issue stemmed from Gable's dental problems. By the time he starred in Gone with the Wind, he had lost most of his teeth. He wore dentures, which contributed to the odor. His dentist, Charles Pincus, created special dentures for him, but they didn't entirely solve the problem. Despite this, Gable's charm and acting skills kept him in high demand. On the set of Mutiny on the Bounty, co-star Charles Laughton also struggled with Gable's breath. Laughton reportedly said, "I can't stand the man's foul breath." This caused tension during filming, but it was tolerated due to Gable's star power. In 1958, Gable's dental issues were discussed in an interview with his close friend, actor Frank Capra. Capra mentioned that Clark was a wonderful guy, but his breath could knock you over. This was a known fact among Hollywood insiders, yet it never affected Gable's career. Gable's hygiene issues extended beyond his breath. He had a reputation for not bathing regularly. Actress Loretta Young, who starred with him in Call of the Wild, found his lack of cleanliness challenging. Young recalled that Clark was rugged and handsome, but he had a distinct odor that was hard to ignore. His hygiene habits didn't change much over the years. On the set of The Misfits, co-star Marilyn Monroe and director John Huston had to deal with his smell. Despite these hygiene issues, Gable remained a beloved figure in Hollywood. His charisma and talent overshadowed his personal habits. He continued to receive roles and accolades throughout his career. In 1960, during the filming of The Misfits, Gable suffered a heart attack, leading to his death shortly after. Even then, the focus remained on his legendary career rather than his hygiene. His legacy as the king of Hollywood remained intact. Joan Crawford. An iconic actress known for films like Mildred Pierce, she had a reputation for being a cleanliness fanatic, yet rumors circulated about her personal odor. Despite her obsession with cleanliness, Crawford's body odor was a subject of whispered conversations among co-stars and crew members. Crawford was known for her meticulous grooming habits. She reportedly took ice-cold baths to maintain her skin's firmness and had a rigorous skincare routine. However, her insistence on using heavy, musky perfumes to cover any natural body odor often had the opposite effect. Co-star Bette Davis famously commented, "She reeks of Chanel No. 5 and sweat." Despite her efforts to stay immaculate, Crawford's intense body odor became noticeable during long shooting days. On the set of Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, her co-star Bette Davis found it challenging to work closely with her. Davis mentioned in a private letter that Joan's smell was unbearable after a few hours on set, describing it as a mix of heavy perfume and something else she couldn't quite identify. Crew members also had stories about Crawford's hygiene. An anonymous crew member from Johnny Guitar recalled, "Joan was always spraying perfume, but it didn't mask the fact that she didn't shower every day." This statement reflected a common sentiment among those who worked with her. Despite these issues, Crawford's professionalism and talent overshadowed her hygiene problems. She was known for being demanding and maintaining high standards on set. Crawford's obsessive cleaning habits extended to her home life. Friends and family reported that she would scrub her house obsessively, sometimes to the point of damaging her skin. Her daughter, Christina Crawford, wrote in her memoir, "Mommy Dearest, Mother would clean until her hands bled, but she rarely took the same care with her own body." Marlon Brando. Renowned for his roles in A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather, he was not just famous for his acting. Brando had a well-known reputation for poor hygiene. Co-stars and directors frequently commented on his lack of cleanliness, which became an integral part of his off-screen persona. Brando's hygiene issues were apparent on the set of A Streetcar Named Desire. Co-star Vivien Leigh, who played Blanche Dubois, found it difficult to work with him due to his hygiene. Leigh remarked, "Marlon never seemed to care about cleanliness. It was tough to share close scenes with him." This sentiment was echoed by others who worked with him. Director Elia Kazan, who directed Brando in both A Streetcar Named Desire and On the Waterfront, also noted his hygiene habits. Kazan mentioned in an interview that Marlon was a brilliant actor, but he had no regard for personal hygiene, and his natural smell was often overpowering on set. Despite this, Kazan continued to work with Brando, recognizing his immense talent. Brando's hygiene became a notorious part of his method of acting. During the filming of The Wild One, he reportedly wore the same costume for the entire shoot, rarely washing it. Co-star Mary Murphy said, "Marlon would stay in character all day, even if it meant not bathing or changing clothes. It added to his authenticity, but it wasn't pleasant for the rest of us." The issue persisted throughout his career. On the set of The Godfather, his co-stars had similar experiences. James Caan, who played Sonny Corleone, once joked that Marlon would show up on set smelling like he had just rolled out of bed, adding that it was part of his charm. Despite these complaints, Brando's performances continued to receive critical acclaim. Brando's personal life also reflected his casual attitude toward hygiene. He was known for his unkempt appearance and disregard for social norms. In a 1973 interview with Rolling Stone, he admitted, "I never saw the point in showering every day. It's a waste of water and time." This nonchalant approach endeared him to some but alienated others. Even in his later years, Brando's hygiene habits remained unchanged. On the set of Apocalypse Now, director Francis Ford Coppola struggled with Brando's behavior, including his lack of cleanliness. Coppola recounted that Marlon was difficult in many ways, including his hygiene, but his performance was worth the trouble. Brando's hygiene issues did not significantly impact his career. His talent and charisma overshadowed his personal habits. He continued to receive accolades and remained a sought-after actor throughout his life. His roles in The Godfather and Last Tango in Paris solidified his status as a Hollywood legend. Public perception of Brando remained largely positive. Fans admired his rebellious spirit and dedication to his craft. The media often focused on his acting prowess and controversial statements rather than his hygiene. Bette Davis. As an icon of classic Hollywood, she was known for her intense performances and strong personality. However, Davis also had a reputation for poor personal hygiene, primarily due to her heavy smoking habit. Her smoking led to persistent bad breath, which became a common complaint among her co-stars. Davis was a notorious chain smoker, often seen with a cigarette in hand both on and off the set. This habit contributed to her bad breath, which was frequently mentioned by those who worked closely with her. Co-star George Brent, who appeared with Davis in several films, once remarked that Bette was a tremendous actress, but her breath was quite overpowering. Her smoking was not just a minor issue, it was a significant part of her daily life. Davis smoked up to 4 packs of cigarettes a day. This constant smoking not only affected her breath, but also left a lingering smell on her clothes and in her hair. On the set of All About Eve, co-star Ann Baxter had to endure Davis's bad breath during their numerous close scenes. Baxter later recalled that working with Bette was a great experience, but it was challenging at times because of her smoking, as the smell was always there. Her personal assistant, Catherine Cermak, who worked with Davis during the latter part of her career, also mentioned her hygiene habits in her memoir. Cermak wrote, "Bette was particular about many things, but her smoking habit was something she never addressed. It was part of who she was." Despite these hygiene issues, Davis's career was filled with accolades and awards. She won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actress for her roles in Dangerous, 1935, and Jezebel, 1938, and received 10 nominations in total. Her powerful performances and commanding presence on screen overshadowed any personal flaws. Davis's hygiene issues were not widely known to the public during her lifetime. The media focused more on her professional achievements and personal dramas rather than her smoking habit and its effects. This allowed her to maintain a strong public image as a glamorous and talented star. In her later years, Davis's smoking took a toll on her health. She suffered a stroke in 1983, which affected her appearance and speech. Despite her health issues, Davis continued to work, making television appearances and writing her memoirs. Lana Turner. As a glamorous star known for films like The Postman Always Rings Twice and Peyton Place, she was one of Hollywood's most alluring actresses. Despite her glamorous on-screen persona, Turner had a reputation for inconsistent personal hygiene, which became a point of discussion among her co-stars and those who worked closely with her. Turner's hygiene habits were influenced by her demanding career and personal struggles. She often neglected regular bathing, relying heavily on perfume to mask body odor. Her personal assistant, Beverly Adland, who was also a close confidant, mentioned in her memoir, Lana, the Lady, the Legend, the Truth, that Turner sometimes went days without a bath. On the set of The Postman Always Rings Twice, co-star John Garfield noticed Turner's hygiene issues. Garfield, known for his straightforwardness, reportedly commented to a friend, "Lana is stunning on screen, but off-screen she sometimes smells like she hasn't bathed in days. The perfume can only do so much." Turner's heavy use of makeup also contributed to her hygiene problems. She often slept with her makeup on to save time in the morning, which led to skin issues and an overall lack of cleanliness. Makeup artist Del Armstrong, who worked with Turner on several films, noted that Lana's skin suffered because she rarely took off her makeup at night, as she was always in a rush and didn't prioritize proper hygiene. Despite these issues, Turner's talent and beauty made her a beloved figure in Hollywood. She was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress for her role in Peyton Place and continued to receive praise for her performances throughout her career. Her charisma and screen presence often overshadowed her personal flaws. Publicly, Turner's hygiene habits were not widely known. The media focused on her film career, numerous marriages, and her dramatic personal life, including the infamous stabbing incident involving her daughter, Cheryl Crane. This selective coverage helped maintain her glamorous image. Greta Garbo. As the enigmatic star of films like Anna Karenina and Camille, she was known for her beauty and mystique. However, behind her glamorous image, Garbo had a reputation for poor personal hygiene, which became a point of contention for those who worked closely with her. Garbo was famously reclusive and avoided the public eye as much as possible. Her aversion to socializing extended to her personal hygiene habits. Co-star John Gilbert, who worked with her in several silent films, mentioned Garbo's hygiene in private conversations. Garbo's hygiene habits were influenced by her desire for privacy and her minimalist lifestyle. She often avoided the studio's makeup and wardrobe departments, preferring to handle her own grooming. This led to less than ideal hygiene, as noted by those around her. Director Clarence Brown, who directed Garbo in several films, recalled in an interview, "Greta was a perfectionist in her work, but she paid little attention to her personal cleanliness. She believed in natural beauty, even if it meant not showering regularly." Garbo's reclusive nature meant that she often neglected regular bathing and laundry. Her maid, who worked for her in her later years, noted in her memoir that Garbo would wear the same clothes for days and rarely did laundry. Miss Garbo valued her privacy above all else. She didn't like people fussing over her, including with hygiene, her maid wrote. Despite her hygiene issues, Garbo's talent and screen presence were undeniable. She received an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress for her role in Camille and continued to captivate audiences with her performances. Her reclusive nature and lack of personal care became part of her mystique, adding to her allure. Publicly, Garbo's hygiene habits were not well known. The media and her fans focused on her enigmatic persona and her memorable roles. This selective coverage helped maintain her status as a Hollywood legend. Her famous line, "I want to be alone," encapsulated her desire for privacy and contributed to her enduring mystique. Ava Gardner. Celebrated for her beauty and talent in films like The Killers and Mogambo, she was also known for her lackadaisical approach to personal hygiene. Despite her glamorous public image, those who worked closely with Gardner often remarked on her infrequent bathing and other hygiene issues. Gardner's hygiene habits were a result of her carefree lifestyle. She often preferred to live in the moment rather than adhere to strict grooming routines. Frank Sinatra, her third husband, once joked about her hygiene. In his memoir, Sinatra mentioned that Ava was a free spirit who didn't let things like regular baths get in the way of her fun. On the set of Mogambo, co-star Clark Gable noticed Gardner's less-than-perfect hygiene. Gable, who had his own hygiene issues, reportedly commented to a friend that Ava was stunning, but she didn't seem to care much for bathing. This was not an isolated observation. Other co-stars and crew members shared similar experiences. Gardner's makeup artist, Del Armstrong, who worked with her on several films, recalled in an interview, "Ava was one of the most beautiful women in Hollywood, but she didn't prioritize cleanliness. She would sometimes come to the set without having washed her hair for days." Despite this, Armstrong admired Gardner's natural beauty and ability to captivate audiences. Gardner's hygiene problems were not widely known to the public. Her fans adored her for her stunning looks and passionate performances. The media focused on her tumultuous love life and glamorous image, rarely touching upon her personal hygiene. This selective coverage helped maintain her status as a Hollywood icon. Gardner's lifestyle was also influenced by her heavy drinking and late-night partying. She was known for her love of nightlife and often stayed out until the early hours of the morning. This contributed to her lack of a regular hygiene routine. In her autobiography, Ava, My Story, Gardner admitted that she loved to party and live freely, and sometimes hygiene took a back seat to fun. Charlie Chaplin. As the iconic star of silent films such as The Tramp and City Lights, he was revered for his comedic genius and pioneering contributions to cinema. However, behind the scenes, Chaplin had a reputation for poor personal hygiene, which sometimes made working with him difficult for his colleagues. Chaplin's hygiene habits were influenced by his intense focus on his work. He was known for being a perfectionist, often spending long hours on set, which left little time for personal care. Actress Paulette Goddard, who starred alongside Chaplin in Modern Times and was also his wife for a few years, mentioned in interviews that Chaplin's dedication to his craft often overshadowed his attention to hygiene. During the filming of The Great Dictator, Chaplin's co-stars noticed his lack of cleanliness. Jack Oakie, who played Mussolini in the film, recalled in his autobiography, Jack Oakie's Double Takes, that Chaplin's hygiene was a common topic of conversation. Chaplin's hygiene issues extended to his dental care. His close friend and collaborator, Douglas Fairbanks, noted that Chaplin often had bad breath. Fairbanks once joked, "Charlie could light up a room with his smile, but you wouldn't want to be too close when he did." Despite these personal hygiene issues, Chaplin's talent and charisma ensured his continued success in Hollywood. His films were groundbreaking, and his performances left a lasting impact on the industry. He received numerous accolades throughout his career, including an honorary Academy Award in 1972 for his contributions to film. Chaplin's personal life was also marked by his hygiene habits. His son, Charles Chaplin Jr., wrote in his memoir, My Father, Charlie Chaplin, about his father's casual approach to personal cleanliness. Chaplin Jr. noted that his dad was always so engrossed in his work that personal hygiene was an afterthought, and he didn't mind skipping a shower if it meant perfecting a scene. Publicly, Chaplin's hygiene issues were not well known. The media and his fans focused more on his cinematic achievements and less on his personal habits. This allowed Chaplin to maintain his image as a beloved figure in the entertainment industry. Rita Hayworth. Known for her roles in classics like Gilda and Covergirl, she was a stunning beauty and one of Hollywood's top stars during the 1940s and 1950s. However, despite her glamorous appearance, Hayworth had a reputation for inconsistent personal hygiene, particularly related to her hair care. Hayworth's most famous feature was her thick, luxurious red hair, which became an iconic symbol of her allure. However, maintaining such a trademark look required considerable effort, and Hayworth often skipped regular washing to keep her hair styled and camera-ready. According to her hairdresser, Helen Hunt, who worked with Hayworth for many years, Rita's hair was her crowning glory, but she didn't wash it frequently. She believed that washing it too often would ruin the style. Her co-star in Gilda, Glenn Ford, noticed Hayworth's approach to hair care. Ford mentioned in a private conversation that Rita's hair was always perfect on screen, but off-screen, you could tell she hadn't washed it in days, considering it a small price to pay for that stunning look. In addition to her hair care habits, Hayworth's personal hygiene was influenced by her busy schedule and numerous health issues. She often struggled with arthritis, which made daily routines, including bathing, challenging. Her daughter, Yasmin Aga Khan, wrote in her memoir, Rita Hayworth, a Memoir, about her mother's health struggles and how they affected her personal care. Khan noted, "My mother's arthritis made it hard for her to do simple tasks. There were days when she just couldn't manage to take a bath." Hayworth's hygiene issues also extended to her living conditions. During the height of her career, she lived in luxurious homes, but her housekeeping habits were less meticulous. Friends and visitors often noted the disarray in her living spaces. Hollywood's brightest stars often leave us starstruck, but some leave us holding our noses instead. James Dean, the 1950s brooding heartthrob, did both. Sure, he made hearts race, but he also made nostrils flare with his signature Eau de Rebelle. Dean's hygiene habits were as unconventional as his acting style. He was known for his intense method acting, refusing to break character, even when the cameras weren't rolling. This dedication didn't just stop with his acting, it stretched to how he looked and smelled. Dean would wear the same clothes for days. He thought it helped him stay in character. On the set of East of Eden, his co-star Julie Harris said, "Jimmy had a wonderful natural body smell. It was clean, but it was definite." Charming to some, sure, but not everyone was into Dean's natural musk. While filming Rebel Without a Cause, director Nicholas Ray had to politely ask Dean to hit the showers more often. Apparently, his aroma was becoming a bit too distracting. But the scent issues didn't stop there. Dean was a heavy smoker, often chain-smoking unfiltered cigarettes. Combine that with his love of coffee, and you've got breath that could take down a bull. His smoky, coffee-soaked exhalations were infamous. Co-stars dreaded doing intimate scenes with him, overwhelmed by his breath. Makeup artists? They had their work cut out trying to freshen him up for close-ups. Let's just say, his habits left their mark. Interestingly, despite the smell, Dean's rebellious charm still had a way of captivating those around him. His offbeat persona, coupled with his intensity, created a mystique that only heightened his allure on screen. Despite all of this, Dean's talent and magnetic screen presence were undeniable. His tragic death at 24 only added to his mystique, securing his place as a cultural icon. While James Dean's scent may have faded into history, the world of pop music has its own olfactory offenders. Britney Spears, the Princess of Pop, has been making headlines for years with her chart-topping hits. But behind the scenes, she's hit a few sour notes in the hygiene department. Rumors about Spears' not-so-fresh scent have been swirling for years. Former bodyguards, housekeepers, and even fellow celebrities have spilled the tea, or should we say, held their noses. One ex-bodyguard claimed that Spears would often go days without showering or brushing her teeth. Apparently, her odor could clear a room faster than one of her high-energy dance routines. But it's not just basic hygiene that's been a challenge. Spears has a well-known love for cigarettes and fast food. This combo has reportedly left her breath smelling less than fresh. During her time as a judge on The X Factor, it was rumored that producers kept mints and mouthwash on standby. Her exhalations were apparently a bit too potent for comfort. Her eating habits haven't helped either. Spears loves tuna and often eats multiple cans a day. Great for omega-3s, sure, but not so great for body odor. One former assistant even claimed that Spears' dressing room smelled like fish long after she'd left. A lingering scent, indeed. There were even reports that Spears would walk barefoot in public restrooms, causing further concerns about her hygiene practices. These instances added to the public fascination with her offstage lifestyle. Despite these little hygiene hiccups, Spears remains a pop culture icon. Fans seem willing to overlook, or maybe hold their noses through, any olfactory mishaps. They're here for the music, after all. And let's face it, when you're belting out "Oh, baby one more time" at the top of your lungs, who's really noticing a little body odor? While Britney's fishy fragrance might turn some stomachs, it's nothing compared to the pungent aroma that defined the grunge scene of the 90s. Kurt Cobain, the iconic frontman of Nirvana, wasn't just known for his raw talent and haunting lyrics. He was also famous for his potent personal aroma. Cobain's hygiene struggles were well documented throughout his tragically short career. Battling depression and drug addiction, the singer often went days or even weeks without bathing. His long, greasy hair and unwashed clothes became as much a part of his image as his raspy voice and distorted guitar riffs. But it wasn't just the lack of showers. Cobain was a heavy smoker, constantly chain-smoking during interviews and backstage. Mix that with his love for strong cheeses and his ongoing stomach problems, and you've got a breath that could peel paint off walls. One interviewer even described talking to Cobain as like being downwind of a landfill on a hot day. His bandmates and crew members weren't shy about mentioning his scent either. Dave Grohl, Nirvana's drummer, once joked that you could always find Kurt's hotel room by following your nose. His unwashed clothes and body were infamous. Despite this, those who knew him well saw beyond the smell. They described Cobain as a gentle, caring soul, with his personal struggles often showing up in his lack of self-care. His hygiene, or lack thereof, was just another reflection of his inner turmoil. The grunge movement itself seemed to embrace Cobain's unkempt look. Grunge was all about rejecting mainstream polish, and Cobain's lack of personal hygiene fit the bill perfectly. For his fans, his disregard for showers was like a middle finger to societal norms, aligning with the angst and alienation his music captured. In Kurt's case, the nose-wrinkling stench of teen spirit was just part of the package. And really, could you even imagine him any other way? Moving from the gritty streets of Seattle to the bustling film sets of Hong Kong, Jackie Chan may be known for his death-defying stunts and impeccable comic timing, but off-screen, he's been fighting a different battle against body odor. Chan's hygiene issues have been an open secret in Hollywood for years. Known for doing his own stunts, the action star works up quite the sweat, but according to co-stars and crew, his post-stunt aroma goes way beyond your average locker room funk. One of his frequent collaborators, Chris Tucker, has even joked about it. During the filming of the Rush Hour series, Tucker would often improvise lines about his character's sensitivity to smells, a not-so-subtle nod to Chan's real-life odor issues. In one hilarious outtake, Tucker quipped, "Rush Hour, more like rush to the shower." It wasn't just Rush Hour that suffered through Chan's natural musk. Some crew members from other films have reported that even after long hours on set, Chan would sometimes skip a post-shoot wash. His dedication to getting the perfect take seemed to extend to skipping personal maintenance. Several insiders have mentioned that after particularly grueling scenes, the smell of sweat and dirt would linger on him long after filming had wrapped. But it's not just the sweat that's been raising eyebrows. Chan has a well-known love for durian, the infamously stinky fruit banned in many public places. Between takes, Chan would snack on it, leaving his co-stars and crew grimacing. One director reportedly had to implement a no-durian policy on set after receiving complaints about the fruit's overpowering smell lingering in the air. Despite his olfactory offenses, Chan remains one of the most beloved figures in action cinema. His charm, talent, and fearless approach to filmmaking seem to overshadow any concerns about his personal scent. Some even say that Chan's earthy aroma adds to his everyman appeal, making him seem more relatable than his polished Hollywood peers. Chan, always the comedian, has addressed the rumors with humor. In one interview, he joked, "I'm not smelly, I'm just very natural. It's all part of the Jackie Chan experience." Whether that's an experience fans are keen to have up close is another question entirely. While Chan's natural musk might be considered charming by some, our next star's hygiene issues were anything but. Michael Jackson, the undisputed king of pop, was known for his groundbreaking music and electrifying performances. But behind the scenes, it seems the Thriller star was battling some not-so-thrilling hygiene problems. Jackson's struggles with personal hygiene reportedly started in the late 1980s, as his fame soared to new heights. Those close to him began noticing a decline in his grooming habits. He would often wear the same clothes for days. His signature sequined glove, once a bold fashion statement, became a cover-up for his unwashed hands. But it wasn't just body odor that raised eyebrows. Jackson's breath was said to be particularly potent. His poor dental hygiene, combined with his unusual diet of candy and sugary drinks, didn't help matters. Rarely brushing his teeth, Jackson's breath was once described by a former staff member as strong enough to knock a buzzard off a gut wagon. Not exactly the kind of sweet sensation you'd expect from the king of pop. His aversion to bathing became more noticeable as his career went on. During the filming of his Ghosts short film in 1996, director Stan Winston reportedly had to beg Jackson to shower. The cramped set wasn't doing anyone any favors as his odor started to take center stage. Makeup artists dreaded working close to him, often resorting to breathing through their mouths just to get through the day. But it wasn't just Jackson's person that had issues. Neverland Ranch, once a magical wonderland, started to show signs of neglect. Visitors reported a strong stench of animal waste from his exotic pets, mixed with the musty odor of unwashed clothes and bedding. It seemed his fairy tale paradise wasn't as spotless as fans imagined. Despite all these olfactory offenses, Jackson's star power and talent never dimmed. Fans were more than willing to overlook or hold their noses through any hygiene mishaps, choosing to focus on his undeniable genius. Some believe Jackson's deteriorating personal habits were a reflection of the immense pressure he faced, a physical manifestation of his inner struggles. Speaking of musical geniuses with questionable hygiene, Christina Aguilera, the pint-sized powerhouse with pipes of steel, has been hitting some sour notes in the hygiene department. Rumors about Aguilera's scent have been floating around for years. Despite her polished appearance on stage, the reality behind the scenes seems quite different. Those who've worked closely with her paint a less glamorous picture. One former assistant described her natural aroma as a mix of hot dogs and diaper rash. Not exactly what you'd expect from a pop diva, but it's not just body odor that's causing a stir. Aguilera's breath has also been a hot topic. She's a self-professed foodie who loves strong-smelling foods like garlic, onions, and blue cheese. Combine that with her chain-smoking habit, and you've got a breath that could knock a vulture off a gut wagon. During her time as a judge on The Voice, her co-stars weren't exactly lining up to get close. Adam Levine once joked, "Christina doesn't smell bad, she just smells like a dog that needs to be bathed." Though meant as a joke, it only fueled the rumors about her hygiene habits. Aguilera's tour days were reportedly just as smelly. Some crew members noted that her dressing rooms often had an unusual lingering scent, a mix of sweat and her favorite snacks. It was also said that her costumes, especially those worn for high-energy performances, weren't always sent to be cleaned right away. The buildup of odors from constant performances became impossible to ignore. Still, Aguilera's talent shines through. Her powerful voice and undeniable stage presence seem to overpower any concerns about her scent. In fact, some fans argue her earthy aroma is just part of her raw, unfiltered persona. It sets her apart from the overly polished pop stars of today. It's all part of her charm, or so her fans say. And if Christina's scent is raw and unfiltered, Lady Gaga takes au naturel to a whole new level. The avant-garde artist, famous for her wild outfits and boundary-pushing performances, has reportedly been turning stomachs as well as heads with her unique scent. Gaga's hygiene issues first surfaced in her early fame days. Known for grueling performances and elaborate costumes, she would sometimes go days without showering while on tour. One former assistant even claimed that Gaga would wear the same underwear for days, leading to an odor that could only be described as gag-worthy. But it's not just sweat and unwashed clothes that contribute to Gaga's funky fragrance. She's also known for her love of raw meat. Who could forget the infamous meat dress she wore to the 2010 MTV Video Music Awards? While the dress was eventually preserved and turned into beef jerky, her fondness for carnivorous couture left a lasting impression, quite literally, on those around her. The smell of the dress lingered long after the event, making people wonder if Gaga had embraced the concept of meat perfume. During the filming of American Horror Story, Hotel, where Gaga played a vampire countess, her co-stars weren't thrilled with her method acting. Set insiders reported that Gaga insisted on drinking small amounts of blood, allegedly pig's blood, to get into character. This, combined with her questionable hygiene habits, led to a breath that could curdle milk from across the room. Her commitment to her role, though impressive, was not exactly nose-friendly for the cast and crew. Despite all these olfactory offenses, Gaga's talent and creativity continue to dazzle audiences. Her loyal fans, affectionately known as Little Monsters, seem more than willing to hold their noses in exchange for her artistry. After all, in Lady Gaga's world, a little stink is just part of the performance. While Gaga's odor might be described as monstrous, Andre the Giant, the legendary wrestler of the 1970s and 80s, was known not only for his immense size and strength, but also for his overwhelming body odor. Standing at 7 feet 4 inches and weighing over 500 pounds, Andre's hygiene issues were as outsized as his frame. His gigantism, a condition that caused his body to produce excess growth hormone, was partly to blame. This condition led to excessive sweating. Combined with his massive size, staying fresh was almost impossible. Andre's fellow wrestlers often mentioned the difficulty of grappling with the giant, not just because of his strength, but also due to his potent aroma. Jake the Snake Roberts once joked, "Andre's smell was so bad it could have knocked a buzzard off a T wagon." Locker rooms that Andre frequented reportedly needed serious airing out once he left. But it wasn't just sweat causing Andre's notorious stench. The man had a legendary appetite and an even bigger love for alcohol. It was said that Andre could drink over 100 beers in one sitting. This led to a constant state of alcohol-induced sweat. His diet didn't help either. Heavy on protein and low on fresh fruits and veggies, his meals often left him with an unmistakable odor. Despite his odorous reputation, Andre remained one of the most beloved figures in professional wrestling. His gentle nature, despite his size, endeared him to fans and fellow wrestlers. In many ways, his pungent aroma just became part of his larger-than-life persona. Whether in the ring or out, it was all part of the Andre the Giant experience. Out of the wrestling ring and into the world of pop, Jessica Simpson made headlines not just for her newlyweds' antics, but also for her less-than-fresh approach to oral hygiene. In a 2010 appearance on The Ellen DeGeneres Show, Simpson proudly admitted she only brushed her teeth maybe 3 times a week. Her reasoning: "My teeth are so white and I don't like them to feel too slippery, but I do use Listerine and floss every day," she explained, "but I don't brush them every day." This revelation shocked the dental community and left fans questioning how close they really wanted to get to the star. Simpson's confession even risked her endorsement deals. At the time, she was the face of Pizza Hut, but the fast food chain reportedly reconsidered keeping her as a spokesperson after her dental hygiene admission. But it's not just her teeth that have raised eyebrows. Simpson has been known to go extended periods without showering, particularly during her reality TV days. In one infamous Newlyweds episode, Simpson declared, "I don't like to shower, I just like to feel dirty," much to the annoyance of her then-husband, Nick Lackey. Despite these hygiene hiccups, Simpson remains a pop culture icon and a wildly successful businesswoman. Her billion-dollar fashion empire proves that a little funk doesn't necessarily mean a financial flop. In fact, it seems her laid-back, real persona only helped endear her more to fans. While Simpson's hygiene habits may raise eyebrows, Jared Leto's commitment to method acting took things to a whole new level of funk. The Oscar-winning actor, known for his intense dedication, pushed the boundaries of personal hygiene for his role as the Joker in Suicide Squad. Leto's approach to playing the Batman villain was extreme. He went beyond the usual preparations, deciding that the Joker wouldn't care much about cleanliness. During production, Leto reportedly went weeks without bathing. He even rolled around in dirt and rubbed garbage on himself to achieve the perfect Joker stench. The result? An odor so intense it left castmates gagging. Viola Davis, one of his co-stars, recalled the first time she encountered Leto in character. "The stench of him was just unbearable," she said. "It was really bad. A mix of body odor, cigarettes, and some sort of cologne that I think he thought the Joker would wear. The smell was so strong, it lingered long after he'd left the room." But Leto didn't stop at body odor. He decided the Joker would have terrible oral hygiene, too. To achieve this, Leto allegedly stopped brushing his teeth. He even gargled with mouthwash meant to make his breath worse and chewed on foul-smelling herbs to enhance the effect. The result? An aroma so potent, crew members could smell him coming from across the set. Margot Robbie, who played Harley Quinn, had to brace herself before filming intimate scenes with Leto. She joked in an interview, "I thought I was ready for anything, but that smell? It was like acting opposite a dumpster fire." Despite the smell, Leto's castmates couldn't help but grudgingly admire his commitment. Will Smith, who played Deadshot, said, "I've never actually met Jared Leto. I've only ever met the Joker." Whether that was praise or a reflection of everyone's desire to keep their distance is up for debate. Even the director, David Ayer, had to step in at one point. He asked Leto to tone down the stench, as it was affecting the crew's ability to work. Leto reportedly compromised by using deodorant, but only if it was a brand he felt the Joker would use. Something toxic and chemical-smelling, of course. Now, if you catch a waft of something less than pleasant, remember, it might just be the scent of stardom. Sometimes Hollywood just plain stinks. She was Hollywood's brightest star, the blonde bombshell adored by millions, yet hiding a secret so shocking it could destroy her entire career. Jean Harlow, the blonde bombshell, had it all: fame, fortune, and a dark secret. What was it? The truth lies behind her nasty bad smell that rocked Hollywood. Introduction to Jean Harlow's stardom. Born Harley Ann Carpenter on March 3, 1911, in Kansas City, Missouri, Jean Harlow became a Hollywood legend. Her journey to stardom began in 1928 when she moved to Los Angeles with her mother. Initially, acting wasn't her focus. She enrolled in Hollywood High School and later attended the Hollywood School for Girls. But fate had other plans. In 1929, at just 18, Harlean drove a friend to Fox Studios for an audition. There, she was spotted by studio executives who persuaded her to take a screen test. Her unique beauty and charisma were undeniable. She signed a 5-year contract with Hal Roach Studios, earning $100 a week, a significant amount at the time. Harlow's breakthrough came in 1930 with Howard Hughes's Hell's Angels. She replaced Norwegian actress Greta Garbo, whose thick accent was unsuitable for the newly developed sound film. Hell's Angels premiered on May 27, 1930, and Jean's platinum blonde hair and seductive charm made her an overnight sensation. The film grossed over $2.5 million, a massive success during the Great Depression. After Hell's Angels, Jean Harlow's career skyrocketed. In 1931, she starred in 6 films, including The Public Enemy, alongside James Cagney. Her role as a gangster's moll showcased her talent, earning critical acclaim. The film was a box office hit, further solidifying her status in Hollywood. Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, took notice and signed her in 1932. Under MGM, she starred in Red-Headed Woman and Red Dust, cementing her status as a leading actress. Red-Headed Woman, released in June 1932, was a major success, known for its risque content. Her portrayal of a seductive woman who climbs the social ladder through relationships was both controversial and celebrated. Jean's allure was not just in her acting. Her off-screen persona captivated the public. Known for her platinum blonde hair, she popularized the blonde bombshell image, inspiring countless imitations. Her beauty routine, particularly the use of peroxide, was widely discussed, contributing to her iconic status. Despite her rising fame, she faced personal struggles. Her marriage to producer Paul Byrne in 1932 was marred by tragedy. Byrne was found dead just 2 months after their wedding, leading to widespread speculation and scandal. Officially ruled a suicide, rumors persisted about the true nature of his death, adding a layer of mystery to her life. The Golden Age of Hollywood and its glamour. The 1930s, known as the Golden Age of Hollywood, were marked by elegance and sophistication. Hollywood became a dream factory, producing stars whose lives seemed perfect. Movie studios controlled the images of their actors meticulously, crafting personas that captivated audiences. Amidst this glamorous backdrop, Jean Harlow stood out as one of the brightest stars. Hollywood's power was concentrated in a few major studios: Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, Warner Brothers, Paramount, RKO, and 20th Century Fox. These studios operated on a star system, signing actors to exclusive contracts. MGM, known for its lavish productions, became Harlow's professional home, where she worked alongside legends like Clark Gable, Spencer Tracy, and Joan Crawford. Jean's platinum blonde hair, sultry voice, and magnetic screen presence made her a favorite among directors and audiences. Films like Dinner at 8, 1933, and Bombshell, 1933, showcased her comedic talents and solidified her status as a leading actress. Her on-screen chemistry with Clark Gable, particularly in films like Red Dust, 1932, and China Seas, 1935, became iconic, drawing millions to theaters. Behind the scenes, the lives of Hollywood stars were often far from glamorous. The studios exerted strict control over their stars, dictating their public appearances, relationships, and even personal habits. For Jean, this meant maintaining her public image as the carefree, seductive, blonde bombshell, despite personal hardships. The glamour of Hollywood was carefully curated. Stars attended lavish parties, premieres, and award shows, always dressed in the latest fashions from designers like Adrian and Edith Head. Jean Harlow was no exception. She frequently appeared in stunning gowns and perfectly coiffed hair, reinforcing her image as a symbol of beauty and sophistication. The era was also one of significant technological advancements in film. The transition from silent films to talkies in the late 1920s changed the industry forever. Jean's career benefited from this shift, as her voice and presence were perfectly suited to the new format. Sound technology improved, allowing for more complex and engaging storytelling, and Harlow's films were at the forefront of this evolution. Early rumors and gossip. In the midst of Hollywood's glittering facade, rumors and gossip circulated just as freely as the films themselves. Jean Harlow, despite her fame and beauty, was not immune to the whispers that spread through the studio lots and the press. Early in her career, murmurs about a peculiar issue began to surface, a persistent bad smell that followed her. Gossip in Hollywood was often fueled by rivalries, jealousies, and the intense competition among stars. For Jean, the rumors likely started as idle chatter among the studio staff and fellow actors. On film sets, where people worked in close quarters for long hours, any unusual trait could quickly become a topic of conversation. Despite the controlled image the studios presented to the public, behind the scenes, stars were scrutinized by everyone from makeup artists to directors. The first hints of Jean Harlow's alleged odor problem appeared in casual comments from co-workers. Makeup artist Sylvia Sanel once mentioned in a private conversation that Harlow had a distinct smell, which she attributed to her health issues. Such comments, though rarely publicized, were common in the tight-knit Hollywood community. These whispers grew louder as more people claimed to notice the same issue. Some co-stars privately remarked on it, often citing it as a minor inconvenience during close-up scenes. For instance, Clark Gable, a frequent collaborator, was rumored to have mentioned it to a close friend, though he never spoke about it publicly. These accounts, while not officially documented, spread through Hollywood's grapevine, adding to Harlow's mystique. The rumors gained traction partly due to Jean's known health issues. She had long suffered from poor health, including kidney problems, which were not widely known to the public. In an era where medical knowledge about the causes of body odor was limited, such conditions often went misunderstood. Kidney issues in particular can lead to a condition known as uremic odor, where the body releases a distinct, unpleasant smell. Despite the growing rumors, Jean Harlow maintained her professionalism and charm on set. She continued to deliver memorable performances, and her popularity with audiences never waned. The studios, aware of the gossip, took steps to manage her public image. They increased her press coverage, emphasizing her beauty and talent, and kept a tight lid on any negative stories. In the 1930s, the tabloid press was less invasive than it is today, but it still played a role in shaping public perception. Publications like Photoplay and Motion Picture often published glowing profiles of stars, carefully crafted by studio publicists. Jean's team worked tirelessly to ensure her image remained untarnished by the rumors. This effort included orchestrating positive stories, arranging public appearances, and leveraging her personal charm to deflect any negative attention. Jean Harlow's personal life and health issues. Jean's early years were marked by a series of health problems. As a child, she suffered from scarlet fever and meningitis, which left her with lasting effects. Despite these early setbacks, she moved to Hollywood in her late teens and quickly became a star. However, her health issues persisted into adulthood, often exacerbated by the grueling demands of her career. One of the most significant health challenges she faced was kidney disease. This condition, known medically as nephritis, affected her kidneys' ability to filter waste from her blood. This led to a buildup of toxins in her body, which can cause uremic odor, a distinct, unpleasant smell. In the 1930s, medical understanding of kidney disease was limited, and treatments were rudimentary at best. Despite her health issues, Jean maintained a rigorous work schedule. She starred in numerous films, attended countless public events, and maintained her status as a leading Hollywood actress. Her marriage to MGM executive Paul Byrne in 1932 brought some stability to her personal life, but it was short-lived. Byrne was found dead just 2 months after their wedding, a tragedy that deeply affected Jean and added to her emotional and physical stress. The circumstances surrounding Byrne's death were mysterious and fueled intense speculation. Officially ruled a suicide, many believed there was more to the story. Some rumors suggested foul play, while others pointed to Byrne's own health and psychological issues. Jean, already dealing with her own health problems, found herself at the center of a media frenzy. The studios worked hard to protect her image, but the stress of the situation took its toll. In addition to her kidney disease, Jean also suffered from influenza and other recurring illnesses. These health problems often required hospitalization and extended periods of rest, which conflicted with the demands of her career. Despite these setbacks, she continued to work, driven by a strong work ethic and a desire to maintain her star status. The combination of her health issues and the pressures of her career created a perfect storm. Jean's doctors were aware of her kidney problems, but the treatments available at the time were limited and often ineffective. She was advised to rest and reduce her workload, but the financial and contractual obligations of her career made this difficult. Jean Harlow's health problems were a well-kept secret from the public. The studios and her management team went to great lengths to maintain her glamorous image, ensuring that her fans saw only the radiant star on the screen. However, those who worked closely with her were aware of her struggles. Makeup artists, customers, and close friends witnessed her frequent bouts of illness and the measures she took to manage her symptoms. The science behind body odor and health conditions. The rumors about Jean Harlow's smell, while sensationalized in Hollywood gossip, have roots in medical science. Understanding the link between her health conditions and the alleged odor requires delving into the science of body odor and its causes. Body odor is primarily caused by bacteria on the skin breaking down sweat into acids. The apocrine glands, located in areas like the armpits and groin, produce sweat that is rich in proteins, which bacteria feed on, producing body odor. Most people can manage this with regular hygiene practices, but certain health conditions can exacerbate the issue. Jean Harlow suffered from chronic kidney disease, specifically nephritis, and inflammation of the kidneys. Kidneys filter waste from the blood, and when they malfunction, toxins like urea build up in the body. This can lead to uremic odor, a distinctive smell often described as resembling ammonia or urine. In the 1930s, nephritis was a serious condition with limited treatment options. The buildup of urea and other waste products in the body could lead to a variety of symptoms, including severe fatigue, swelling, and changes in skin color. More importantly, it could cause the body to emit a strong, unpleasant odor, especially noticeable during physical exertion or stress. Medical understanding of nephritis and its symptoms was still developing during Harlow's time. Treatments were largely supportive rather than curative, focusing on managing symptoms rather than addressing the underlying disease. This often included dietary restrictions, rest, and in some cases, early forms of dialysis. However, these treatments were not always effective, especially in severe cases. Jean's condition would have been managed by the best medical professionals available, but the limitations of the time meant she still suffered significant symptoms. The persistent uremic odor, a byproduct of her kidney disease, was something she likely struggled to control. Personal hygiene and perfumes could only do so much to mask such a strong and medically rooted scent. Further complicating matters, the stress and physical demands of her acting career would have exacerbated her condition. Long hours on set, under hot studio lights, combined with the stress of maintaining her public image, would have increased her body's production of sweat and urea. This would make the odor more noticeable to those in close proximity, such as co-stars, makeup artists, and costume designers. Despite these challenges, Jean Harlow remained dedicated to her career. Her ability to perform under such conditions speaks volumes about her professionalism and resilience. Eyewitness accounts and first-hand experiences. The persistent rumors about Jean Harlow's distinctive smell were bolstered by eyewitness accounts and first-hand experiences from those who worked closely with her. These stories, shared quietly within Hollywood circles, contributed to the myth and mystery surrounding her personal life. One of the earliest mentions came from Sylvia Sanelli, a well-known makeup artist who worked on several of Harlow's films. In private conversations, Sanel recounted how she noticed a peculiar odor during close-up scenes. It wasn't overpowering, but it was distinct, she mentioned to a colleague. These comments, though never publicized, circulated among Hollywood insiders, adding to the whispers about Harlow's condition. Clark Gable, one of Jean's frequent co-stars, was also rumored to have noticed the smell. Although Gable never spoke publicly about it, his close friends recounted his remarks. During the filming of Red Dust in 1932, Gable reportedly confided in a friend about the issue, expressing sympathy for Harlow's health problems. These personal anecdotes, while not officially documented, fueled the speculation. Another significant account came from assistant director Charles Belden, who worked with Harlow on Dinner at 8. Belden later shared his experiences with a close circle of friends, describing how he often noticed the odor during long shoots. He attributed it to the grueling schedules and intense physical demands placed on actors, particularly those with underlying health conditions like Harlow. These personal stories paint a picture of a woman who, despite her glamorous public persona, struggled with significant health challenges. The anecdotes from colleagues and crew members offer a glimpse into the realities of working with Jean Harlow and the impact her health had on her daily life. It's important to understand that these accounts were shared within a context of respect and admiration for Harlow. Despite the rumors, those who worked with her often spoke highly of her professionalism, dedication, and resilience. For example, Myrna Loy, a co-star in Libeled Lady, once praised Harlow's work ethic, saying, "Jean was always the consummate professional. She never let anything interfere with her performance." The studios were aware of the rumors and took steps to manage them. MGM, in particular, orchestrated a strict regime to maintain Jean's public image. This included regular press releases highlighting her beauty and charm, as well as carefully staged public appearances to reinforce her glamorous persona. The goal was to ensure that the public saw only the blonde bombshell and not the person grappling with serious health issues. Behind the scenes, Jean Harlow took measures to mitigate the effects of her condition. She was known to use heavy perfumes and frequent bathing to manage the odor. though these efforts could only do so much. Her close friends and family were supportive, often helping her cope with the challenges posed by her health. Hollywood's reaction and damage control. Hollywood's reaction to the rumors surrounding Jean Harlow was swift and calculated. Studios during the Golden Age were adept at managing the public images of their stars, and MGM was no exception. They implemented a series of strategies to ensure that Jean's career remained unaffected by the whispers about her health and alleged odor. MGM's public relations team, led by Howard Strickling, orchestrated a comprehensive campaign to protect Harlow's image. Strickling was known for his skill in handling scandals and controlling narratives. Under his direction, the studio took several steps to counteract any potential damage from the rumors. Firstly, MGM intensified Harlow's media presence. She was featured in numerous magazine articles, interviews, and public appearances, all highlighting her beauty, talent, and charm. These pieces often included staged photo shoots and carefully crafted stories that reinforced her glamorous persona. The goal was to keep the public focused on her screen performances and personal allure, diverting attention from any negative gossip. In addition to media saturation, MGM leveraged the power of Hollywood's social scene. Jean was frequently seen at high-profile events, surrounded by other stars and influential figures. These appearances were meticulously planned to ensure she was always in the best light, both literally and figuratively. The studio also encouraged friendships and relationships with other high-profile celebrities to bolster her image through association. Jean's personal life was also managed to minimize any negative impact. After the death of Paul Byrne, MGM swiftly moved to control the narrative. The official story was that Byrne had taken his own life due to personal troubles unrelated to Harlow. The studio's crisis management team worked overtime to ensure that this version of events was the one reported by the press. Private detectives were even employed to investigate and suppress any alternative theories that might damage Jean's reputation. The untimely death of Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow's life, marked by immense talent and undeniable beauty, came to a tragic and premature end. Her untimely death at the age of 26 not only shocked the world, but also brought to light the severe health issues she had been battling in silence. In the spring of 1937, while filming Saratoga, Jean's health began to decline rapidly. On May 29th, she collapsed on set, complaining of severe fatigue, nausea, and abdominal pain. Initially, it was believed she was suffering from the flu or a minor infection. However, her condition quickly worsened, prompting the studio to bring in Dr. Leland Chapman, a renowned physician, to oversee her care. Dr. Chapman diagnosed Jean with uremic poisoning, a result of acute kidney failure. This diagnosis explained the persistent rumors about her body odor, as uremic poisoning causes the body to emit a distinct, unpleasant smell due to the buildup of toxins. Despite the severity of her condition, treatment options were limited. Dialysis, a common treatment for kidney failure today, was in its infancy and not widely available. Jean was hospitalized at Good Samaritan Hospital in Los Angeles. Over the next few days, her condition deteriorated further. She experienced severe bloating, high blood pressure, and uremic breath, all symptoms of her failing kidneys. Despite the best efforts of her medical team, her body was unable to cope with the toxic overload. On June 6, 1937, Jean slipped into a coma. Her mother, Jean Bello, and fiancé, actor William Powell, were by her side. The news of her critical condition spread quickly, and fans across the country were heartbroken. The next morning, on June 7th, Jean Harlow passed away. The official cause of death was listed as cerebral edema, a complication of kidney failure. The announcement of Jean's death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and the world. She had been one of the brightest stars of her era, and her sudden passing left a void in the film industry. Joan Fontaine's infrequent bathing, Spencer Tracy's overpowering body odor, and Veronica Lake's refusal to wash her hair regularly are just the beginning. Discover the untold stories of these glamorous stars whose notorious hygiene habits will leave you speechless. Buckle up as we reveal the smelly truth behind Hollywood's golden era, Joan Fontaine. As an Oscar-winning actress, she is remembered for her roles in classics like Rebecca and Suspicion. Despite her on-screen elegance, those who worked closely with her knew of her less-than-glamorous personal hygiene habits. Fontaine was known for infrequent bathing, which led to a noticeable body odor that co-stars and crew couldn't ignore. In her autobiography No Bed of Roses, Fontaine admitted to disliking the Hollywood studio system and its demands. Her rebellion against the system extended to her personal habits. Fontaine's co-star in Rebecca, Laurence Olivier, reportedly found working with her challenging due to her hygiene. On the set of Suspicion, Alfred Hitchcock, known for his meticulous attention to detail, allegedly had to address Fontaine's hygiene indirectly. Hitchcock, who directed Fontaine to her Oscar-winning performance, was famous for his subtle, sometimes harsh methods to elicit the best performances. Crew members recalled how he would ensure fresh air on set and discreetly place scented items around the filming area. Fontaine's personal letters also reveal her indifference to frequent bathing. In correspondence with her sister, Olivia de Havilland, there are mentions of her preference for natural scents. The two sisters had a famously tumultuous relationship, and Olivia would sometimes mock Joan's habits in their letters. The actress's hygiene became a topic of discussion among Hollywood insiders. Director George Cukor, who worked with Fontaine on The Women, noted that she often came to the set without having showered. Cukor's assistant recalled how the crew would sometimes spray perfume around her to mask the odor. Despite her hygiene issues, Fontaine maintained her reputation as a talented actress. Her dedication to her craft was undeniable, and she delivered performances that captivated audiences. However, behind the scenes, her personal habits created a different narrative. Fontaine's hygiene was not just a personal quirk, it became part of her Hollywood legacy, whispered about in dressing rooms and on film sets. Fontaine's reluctance to bathe regularly might have stemmed from her belief in natural living. She once told a friend that she thought frequent bathing stripped the body of its natural oils and scents. This belief was not uncommon among some celebrities of her time, who often adopted unconventional lifestyles and habits. In interviews later in life, Fontaine rarely addressed the rumors about her hygiene. When asked about her personal habits, she would deflect with charm and wit, much like the characters she portrayed on screen. Her fans remained enamored with her, largely unaware of the behind-the-scenes stories. Montgomery Clift. He was one of Hollywood's most talented and handsome actors. Starring in classics like A Place in the Sun and From Here to Eternity, Clift was admired for his method acting and intense performances. However, his personal life was plagued by struggles that extended to his hygiene, earning him a notorious reputation. Clift's hygiene issues were closely linked to his tumultuous personal life. He battled substance abuse, which significantly impacted his daily habits. His dependence on alcohol and prescription drugs often left him neglecting basic hygiene. Co-stars and friends noted his strong body odor, unkempt appearance, and lack of grooming. Elizabeth Taylor, Clift's close friend and frequent co-star, often tried to help him maintain his hygiene. Despite her efforts, Taylor remarked in private conversations that Clift's personal struggles made it difficult for him to care for himself. Taylor once said, "Monty was a beautiful soul, but sometimes he just didn't care about the way he smelled or looked." Clift's personal assistant during the filming of The Misfits recalled how the actor would go days without bathing. The assistant often had to encourage Clift to clean up before shoots. Crew members on the set would sometimes leave deodorant and fresh clothes in his trailer, hoping he would use them. On the set of Suddenly last summer, director Joseph L. Mankiewicz had to address Clift's hygiene directly. Mankiewicz, known for his attention to detail, reportedly asked Clift to shower before coming to the set, citing complaints from other cast members. Clift's co-star, Katharine Hepburn, was particularly vocal about the issue, though she remained supportive of his talent. Despite these problems, Clift's performances never suffered. He continued to deliver powerful, emotionally charged roles. His ability to compartmentalize his personal struggles from his professional work was remarkable. However, those close to him knew that his off-screen life was far from glamorous. In his later years, Clift's hygiene issues worsened. His health declined rapidly after a near-fatal car accident in 1956. The accident left him with severe injuries, which he treated with heavy doses of painkillers and alcohol. This exacerbated his neglect of personal hygiene. Clift's friends and family often intervened, trying to help him manage his habits. His brother, Brooks Clift, once mentioned in an interview that Montgomery's hygiene was a constant concern. Brooks would sometimes visit his brother and find him in a state of disarray, urging him to clean up. Despite the efforts of those around him, Clift's hygiene remained an issue until his death in 1966. Vivien Leigh. Known for her iconic roles in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, she was one of Hollywood's most captivating actresses. Her beauty and talent earned her immense fame, but behind the scenes, Leigh struggled with severe mental health issues that affected her personal hygiene. Leigh was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, which often left her in states of extreme emotional turmoil. Her condition, coupled with a hectic career, contributed to her neglect of personal hygiene. Colleagues and friends noted that during her manic episodes, Leigh would go days without bathing or changing clothes. Laurence Olivier, Leigh's husband and fellow actor, was one of the few who understood the full extent of her struggles. Olivier once confided to a friend, "Vivien's illness is a torment for her, and it shows in ways people wouldn't expect, like her hygiene." Despite his efforts to help her, Leigh's mental state often made it difficult for her to maintain regular hygiene routines. On the set of Gone with the Wind, director Victor Fleming and the crew had to deal with Leigh's unpredictable behavior and hygiene issues. Clark Gable, her co-star, reportedly complained about her strong body odor during close scenes. Gable's complaints were discreetly addressed by the production team, who tried to manage the situation without causing Leigh further distress. Leigh's personal assistant during the filming of A Streetcar Named Desire recalled how the actress would sometimes arrive on set unwashed and in the same clothes from the previous day. The assistant often had to gently remind her to freshen up before filming, a task made difficult by Leigh's volatile moods. Leigh's friends in the theater community also witnessed her struggles. During a stage production of Antony and Cleopatra, her co-star, Michael Redgrave, noted her erratic behavior and poor hygiene. Redgrave later wrote in his memoirs, "Vivien's brilliance on stage was undeniable, but off stage, she battled with demons that no one could see." In her later years, Leigh's hygiene issues became more pronounced as her mental health deteriorated. Her close friend and biographer, Ann Edwards, documented how Leigh's condition led to severe neglect of personal care. Edwards described visiting Leigh and finding her in a disheveled state, with strong body odor and unkempt hair. Leigh's hygiene problems were not a reflection of laziness, but a symptom of her severe mental health struggles. Her battle with bipolar disorder overshadowed many aspects of her life, including her ability to care for herself. Spencer Tracy. Being a two-time Academy Award-winning actor, he was celebrated for his powerful performances and natural acting style. Starring in classics like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Captain's Courageous, Tracy was a giant of Hollywood's golden age. However, behind his on-screen charm and talent, Tracy was known for his poor personal hygiene, which stemmed from his struggles with alcoholism. Tracy's drinking problems were well documented and often affected his professional life. His addiction led to erratic behavior and neglect of personal care. Co-stars and crew members frequently commented on his strong body odor, unkempt appearance, and stained clothes. Katharine Hepburn, Tracy's longtime partner and co-star in numerous films, often tried to help him manage his hygiene, but her efforts were not always successful. On the set of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, director Stanley Kramer faced challenges due to Tracy's hygiene. Kramer later recalled in interviews how Tracy's drinking exacerbated his hygiene issues, making it difficult for the actor to maintain regular cleanliness. Despite this, Tracy's talent shone through, and he delivered a memorable performance that earned critical acclaim. Co-star Sidney Poitier admired Tracy's acting, but noted the hygiene issues. In his autobiography, Poitier mentioned, "Spencer was an incredible actor, but there were times when it was hard to ignore his strong smell and disheveled look." Poitier's comments reflected the general sentiment among those who worked closely with Tracy. Tracy's personal assistant during the filming of Adam's Rib also recalled instances of his poor hygiene. The assistant described how Tracy would often arrive on set without having bathed, with noticeable body odor. Crew members would discreetly place fresh clothes and hygiene products in his dressing room, hoping he would use them before shooting. Tracy's drinking problem was not a secret in Hollywood. Friends and colleagues frequently intervened, trying to help him overcome his addiction. Actor and close friend Clark Gable once commented on Tracy's hygiene, saying, "Spence was a great friend, but his drinking made him careless about how he looked and smelled." In his later years, Tracy's health declined due to his alcoholism, further worsening his hygiene. Hepburn often took care of him, ensuring he maintained some semblance of personal care. Despite her efforts, Tracy's condition made it challenging to uphold consistent hygiene. Veronica Lake. As an actress famed for her iconic peekaboo hairstyle and roles in films like Sullivan's Travels and This Gun for Hire, she was one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars. Behind her captivating on-screen presence, Lake harbored a reputation for poor personal hygiene, particularly her reluctance to wash her hair regularly. Lake's trademark hairstyle, which covered one eye, became a significant part of her persona. However, maintaining that look required a lot of upkeep, and Lake often neglected regular washing. Her co-stars and crew members noticed this and frequently commented on the strong odor from her hair. It was said that she would sometimes go days, if not weeks, without properly washing it. Alan Ladd, her co-star in several films, reportedly struggled with the close contact scenes due to the smell. In a private conversation with a crew member, Ladd allegedly remarked, "Veronica's talent is undeniable, but working so close to her can be tough with that smell." On the set of I Married a Witch, director Renee Claire had to delicately handle Lake's hygiene. Claire, known for his tactful approach, ensured that hair and makeup artists attended to her regularly, trying to mask the odor with perfumes and hair treatments. Despite their efforts, the problem persisted, and it became a running issue among the crew. Lake's personal life was fraught with difficulties that contributed to her hygiene issues. She struggled with alcoholism and mental health problems, which affected her ability to maintain a regular self-care routine. Her frequent binges left her in states where personal hygiene was the last thing on her mind. Her biographer, Jeff Lenberg, noted in his book Peekaboo, The Story of Veronica Lake, that her hygiene became increasingly problematic as her addiction worsened. During the filming of The Blue Dahlia, Lake's hygiene issues became more apparent. Co-star William Bendix found it challenging to perform romantic scenes with her due to her unwashed hair and body odor. Others shared Bendix's discomfort on set, who often found creative ways to avoid getting too close. Lake's hygiene was not just limited to her hair. Reports from her housekeepers and assistants indicated that she often neglected bathing altogether. One assistant recalled that Lake would sometimes wear the same clothes for several days, contributing to a noticeable smell. Despite this, her charisma and beauty often overshadowed these issues in the public eye. Cary Grant. As one of Hollywood's most charismatic and beloved actors, he is remembered for his roles in classics such as North by Northwest and To Catch a Thief. Known for his suave demeanor and impeccable style, Grant's off-screen habits presented a stark contrast to his on-screen image. Despite his polished appearance, he was infamous for his minimal use of deodorant and his preference for a more natural body scent, which sometimes led to noticeable body odor. Grant's hygiene habits were partly influenced by his personal beliefs. He was known to be quite health-conscious and believed in natural living. This belief extended to his grooming practices, where he avoided the use of artificial products, including deodorants. On the set of North by Northwest, director Alfred Hitchcock, who was known for his meticulous attention to detail, had to discreetly address Grant's body odor. Hitchcock's assistant recalled that the director would ensure the set was well ventilated and would occasionally suggest a break for fresh air, indirectly hinting at the need for Grant to freshen up. Co-star Eva Marie Saint, who worked closely with Grant, commented in her memoirs about his natural scent, noting, "Cary was a wonderful actor and a gentleman, but his preference for natural grooming was evident." Grant's personal assistant during the filming of To Catch a Thief shared anecdotes about his hygiene habits. The assistant revealed that Grant would often refuse to use the colognes and deodorants provided by the studio, insisting on his own natural regimen. Crew members would sometimes place scented items in his dressing room, hoping to mask the odor. Despite these issues, Grant's charm and professionalism ensured that his hygiene habits did not significantly affect his career. However, those who worked closely with him were well aware of his peculiar grooming practices. Director Stanley Donen, who worked with Grant on Charade, once joked in an interview, "Cary was the epitome of elegance on screen, but off-screen, he was quite the naturalist." Grant's preference for natural grooming was consistent throughout his life. His ex-wife, actress Diane Cannon, mentioned in her autobiography that Grant's hygiene habits were one of the many quirks that made him unique. Cannon mentioned that Cary prioritized health and natural living, asserting that the body could regulate itself without the need for artificial products. Friends and colleagues often respected Grant's choices even if they found them unusual. His close friend and fellow actor James Stewart remarked in a letter, "Cary was always true to himself. Even if it meant smelling a bit ripe at times, he believed in living naturally, and that was part of his charm." Grant's hygiene habits sometimes caused discomfort during intimate scenes. Deborah Kerr, his co-star in An Affair to Remember, reportedly found it challenging to perform romantic scenes due to his natural scent. Despite this, Kerr and Grant maintained a professional relationship, and she often praised his acting skills and professionalism in public interviews. During the filming of Houseboat with Sophia Loren, the Italian actress also noticed Grant's preference for natural grooming. Loren, who was known for her own meticulous personal care, found it surprising but endearing. She mentioned in an interview, "Cary was very much his own man. His natural approach was different, but it was part of what made him unique." Grant's commitment to natural living sometimes led to humorous situations on set. During the filming of Bringing Up Baby, Katharine Hepburn, known for her straightforward personality, once playfully confronted him about his smell. Hepburn, always direct, teased Grant about his lack of deodorant, to which he responded with his characteristic wit, making light of the situation and diffusing any tension. Mae West. As an iconic actress known for her witty one-liners and bold persona, she was one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars. With roles in films like She Done Him Wrong and I'm No Angel, West's career was marked by her brazen confidence and larger-than-life character. However, behind the scenes, she was infamous for her personal hygiene habits, particularly her aversion to regular bathing. West's hygiene issues were well known among her colleagues. She believed that frequent bathing was unnecessary and even unhealthy. In her autobiography, Goodness Had Nothing to Do with It, West candidly discussed her views on hygiene, stating, "I believe in natural living, and that means not stripping away the body's natural oils with too much washing." Her belief that bathing too often could harm her skin and health led her to bathe infrequently, a habit that was starkly at odds with the image of the glamorous star she portrayed on screen. Co-stars and crew members frequently commented on West's strong body odor. Director Lowell Sherman, who worked with her on She Done Him Wrong, recalled the challenges of maintaining a fresh environment on set. The strong scent often permeated her dressing room, and the crew took to airing it out regularly to make it more bearable. West's personal assistant during the filming of I'm No Angel shared stories about her hygiene routines. The assistant noted that West would often go days without bathing, relying on heavy perfumes to mask any odors. Despite this, her commanding presence and charisma often overshadowed these issues. West would douse herself in her favorite fragrances, such as Taboo by Dana, to cover up any unpleasant smells, a practice that only partially mitigated the issue. West's hygiene habits extended beyond her bathing routines. She was known to wear the same costumes repeatedly without laundering them. Costume designers and wardrobe assistants frequently complained about the odor of her outfits. Head and her team would have to frequently use fabric fresheners and sprays to manage the smell. Despite her hygiene issues, West's talent and wit made her a beloved figure in Hollywood. Her ability to captivate audiences with her performances and humor ensured her continued success. However, those who worked closely with her could not ignore the challenges posed by her hygiene. West's hygiene habits often became the subject of gossip among Hollywood insiders. At parties and social gatherings, whispers about her strong scent and unwashed clothes circulated. Yet, West remained unbothered by the chatter, continuing to live her life on her own terms. Her confidence and disregard for societal norms only added to her allure. During the production of Mira Breckenridge, West's Hygiene is Shoes again came to light. Co-star Raquel Welch found it difficult to work closely with her due to the smell. The film's crew also had to make adjustments, ensuring that the set was well ventilated and often using air fresheners to manage the odor. West's commitment to her unique lifestyle extended to her diet and overall health practices. She often ate organic foods and avoided processed items, believing that a natural diet was key to her well-being. This philosophy was reflected in her minimal use of commercial hygiene products, which she believed contained harmful chemicals. Instead, she used natural remedies and homemade concoctions, further contributing to her distinct scent. Behind the red carpet lies a darker side of fame. Hollywood icons revered by millions, caught in the most jaw-dropping drunken scandals. From Errol Flynn's wild escapades to Robert Downey Jr.'s struggles, uncover the secrets the stars tried to hide. This is the real Hollywood. Errol Flynn's Wild Nights, 1940s. An iconic actor of the 1940s known for his swashbuckling roles in films like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood, Errol Flynn was infamous for his off-screen antics. Flynn's penchant for heavy drinking and partying led to numerous scandals. One of the most notorious incidents occurred in 1942 when he was arrested for statutory rape involving two underage girls, Betty Hansen and Peggy Satterlee. Although he was acquitted, the trial brought his wild lifestyle into the spotlight. Flynn's behavior was a staple of Hollywood gossip columns. He was often seen at bars and nightclubs, drinking excessively and getting into brawls. His favorite haunts included the famed Trocadero on the Sunset Strip and the Macambo nightclub, where he would often be found in the company of fellow actors and high-profile socialites. Flynn's notorious parties at his Mulholland Drive estate, nicknamed Cirrhosis by the Sea, were legendary for their debauchery, attracting Hollywood's elite and often ending in chaos. His autobiography, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, detailed many of these exploits, cementing his reputation as one of Hollywood's original bad boys. The book provides a vivid account of his hedonistic lifestyle, including tales of drunken escapades and romantic entanglements. Flynn once reportedly quipped, "I like my whiskey old and my women young," a line that epitomized his carefree and often reckless approach to life. Despite his personal life, Flynn continued to have a successful career. He starred in several notable films during the 1940s, including They Died with Their Boots On and Gentleman Jim. Spencer Tracy's Struggles with Alcohol, 1950s. One of Hollywood's most respected actors, Spencer Tracy battled alcoholism for much of his life. Known for his roles in classics like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and Inherit the Wind, Tracy's drinking often affected his work. In the 1950s, his struggle became more apparent, with multiple incidents of public intoxication. One particularly notable event occurred in 1953 when Tracy was found passed out in the lobby of the Beverly Hills Hotel after a night of heavy drinking. His drinking affected his health and led to several hospitalizations. He often experienced severe hangovers and dehydration, requiring medical attention. Tracy's longtime companion, Katharine Hepburn, frequently stepped in to support him, even going so far as to monitor his drinking and assist him in his recovery efforts. Despite his struggles, Tracy's talent remained undeniable. He continued to deliver powerful performances in films such as Bad Day at Black Rock and The Old Man and the Sea. His ability to convey deep emotion and complexity in his characters made him a beloved figure in Hollywood. Directors admired his professionalism on set, even though they were aware of his battles with alcohol. Tracy's alcoholism strained his relationships with colleagues and affected his physical appearance. His once robust frame became increasingly frail, and his face showed the signs of heavy drinking. Yet, his performances never wavered in their intensity and brilliance. Hepburn once said of Tracy, "He was a drunk, but he was my drunk," highlighting her unwavering support and love for him despite his addiction. His addiction also took a toll on his family life. Tracy was separated from his wife Louise, although they never divorced, largely due to his Catholic faith. His children, John and Susie, were deeply affected by his alcoholism and the instability it brought to their lives. Judy Garland's troubled life, 1960s. The beloved star of The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland had a tumultuous life marked by substance abuse. In the 1960s, her struggles with alcohol and prescription drugs became more pronounced. Garland's dependence on substances led to erratic behavior and numerous incidents of public intoxication. In 1964, Garland was found intoxicated and disoriented in a London hotel. She had to cancel several performances due to her condition. Her addiction issues were further exacerbated by the pressures of constant touring and financial difficulties. Despite attempts to rehabilitate her image, her addictions continued to plague her. Garland's manager, Stevie Phillips, described her as being so drunk she couldn't stand, highlighting the severity of her condition. Her substance abuse and deteriorating health made it difficult for her to secure stable work in the industry. Her once radiant voice and commanding stage presence were often overshadowed by her personal struggles. Nevertheless, Garland managed to deliver a few notable performances during this period, including a memorable concert at Carnegie Hall in 1961, which became a best-selling album and earned her a Grammy. Garland's relationships also suffered due to her addictions. She went through multiple marriages and divorces, each contributing to her emotional instability. Her children, including Liza Minnelli, often witnessed her struggles, adding a layer of familial tension to her already chaotic life. Garland's attempts at sobriety were frequent, but often short-lived, as the demands of her career and personal life repeatedly drove her back to substance use. Dean Martin's party persona, 1950s to 1970s. A member of the famous Rat Pack, Dean Martin was known for his smooth voice and charming on-screen presence. Off-screen, Martin cultivated a persona of the perpetual partygoer, often seen with a drink in hand. While some of his drinking was part of his act, Martin did have a penchant for alcohol. Throughout the 1950s to the 1970s, Martin's love for drinking was well documented. He often appeared on stage and television seemingly inebriated, playing into his laid-back, fun-loving image. His performances on The Dean Martin Show and the Dean Martin Celebrity Roasts featured him frequently sipping what appeared to be alcoholic beverages, adding to his carefree persona. This image was so convincing that many believed he was always under the influence, even though much of it was for show. Martin's association with the Rat Pack, alongside Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., and others, only solidified his reputation as a hard-drinking entertainer. Their performances in Las Vegas were legendary for their humor, music, and revelry, with Martin often playing the role of the amiable drunk. Despite his heavy drinking, Martin maintained a successful career in music, film, and television. He starred in a series of popular films, including Some Came Running and Rio Bravo, and recorded numerous hit songs like Everybody Loves Somebody and Ain't That a Kick in the Head. Behind the scenes, Martin's drinking did have its limits. His daughter, Dina Martin, once said, "He liked to drink, but he knew his limits," suggesting that his on-stage persona was partly an act. In reality, Martin was known to switch his whiskey glass for apple juice during performances to maintain his composure while still entertaining the crowd. Marlon Brando's off-screen drama, 1950s to 1970s. Celebrated for his roles in A Streetcar Named Desire and The Godfather, Marlon Brando was known for his unpredictable behavior and off-screen drama. In the 1950s, Brando's temperamental nature and disdain for Hollywood norms led to clashes with directors and producers. His personal life was equally chaotic, with numerous affairs and a penchant for excess. By the 1970s, Brando's behavior became even more erratic, with reports of heavy drinking and weight gain affecting his performances. Despite these issues, his talent kept him in demand, although his career was marked by these tumultuous periods. One of Brando's most infamous episodes occurred in 1953 during the filming of The Wild One. Known for his method acting, Brando immersed himself fully into the rebellious character he portrayed. Off-screen, he continued this behavior, frequently getting into altercations and showing up drunk on set. His clashes with director Laszlo Benedek and other crew members became legendary, further cementing his reputation as difficult but brilliant. In the 1960s, Brando's heavy drinking became more public. While filming Mutiny on the Bounty in Tahiti in 1962, his off-screen antics caused significant delays and budget overruns. He would often disappear for days, indulging in alcohol-fueled parties that disrupted the production. His unpredictable behavior led to frequent arguments with the film's director, Louis Milestone, and the studio, which struggled to keep the project on track. By the 1970s, Brando's erratic behavior and physical decline were evident. His performance in The Godfather was critically acclaimed, yet behind the scenes, his unpredictable actions and excessive drinking caused tension. His weight gain and lack of discipline were issues that directors had to navigate delicately. On the set of Last Tango in Paris, director Bernardo Bertolucci had to manage Brando's erratic schedule and moods, often exacerbated by his drinking. Elizabeth Taylor's tumultuous love life, 1950s to 1970s. Known for her roles in Cleopatra and Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, Elizabeth Taylor was as famous for her tumultuous personal life as she was for her acting. Throughout the 1950s to the 1970s, Taylor's numerous marriages and publicized affairs made headlines. Her relationship with Richard Burton, fueled by passion and alcohol, was particularly notable. The two married and divorced twice, with their fiery relationship often playing out in the public eye. Taylor's struggles with substance abuse, including alcohol and prescription drugs, further complicated her personal life and career. One of the most infamous incidents highlighting Taylor's issues with alcohol occurred during the filming of Cleopatra in the early 1960s. Taylor and Burton's on-set affair, fueled by their heavy drinking, became a public scandal. The media frenzy surrounding their relationship overshadowed the film itself. Paparazzi frequently captured the couple leaving bars and nightclubs in a drunken stupor, fueling tabloid stories and public fascination with their tumultuous romance. Another notable episode happened in 1974 when Taylor and Burton were dining at the Dorchester Hotel in London. Both had been drinking heavily, and a heated argument ensued which quickly escalated into a loud and public confrontation. The incident ended with Taylor throwing a glass of wine in Burton's face. Such public displays of their volatile relationship, often exacerbated by alcohol, became a regular spectacle for the press and further cemented their reputations as Hollywood's most tempestuous couple. Peter O'Toole's legendary drinking, 1960s. Peter O'Toole, known for his iconic role in Lawrence of Arabia, was famous for his heavy drinking throughout the 1960s. His off-screen escapades were as legendary as his performances. One night in 1963, O'Toole and fellow actor Richard Harris reportedly drank their way through several London pubs, ending in a drunken brawl that required police intervention. O'Toole himself recounted in an interview, "I did quite enjoy the taste of alcohol a lot, and there were nights when I would drink a bar dry." His drinking was so notorious that in one incident he was found passed out in a public fountain in Rome. This wild lifestyle often led to outrageous antics that became the stuff of Hollywood legend, like the time he supposedly rode a camel through the streets of Dublin after a night of heavy drinking. Despite his wild behavior, O'Toole's talent kept him in high demand. Directors and producers were willing to overlook his off-screen antics because of his exceptional acting abilities. He delivered powerful performances in films such as Beckett and The Lion in Winter, earning him critical acclaim and several Academy Award nominations. However, his drinking began to take a toll on his health and reputation. He was known to show up on set late or inebriated, causing frustration among his colleagues. O'Toole's drinking also led to numerous health issues. He underwent surgery in the late 1970s for pancreatitis, a condition exacerbated by his excessive alcohol consumption. His doctors warned him that he had to stop drinking if he wanted to live, which prompted him to significantly reduce his alcohol intake. Despite these challenges, O'Toole continued to act, delivering memorable performances well into his later years. Richard Burton's public drunkenness, 1970s. Another star of the 1960s and 70s, Richard Burton was infamous for his public bouts of drunkenness. Known for his turbulent relationship with Elizabeth Taylor, their fights were often fueled by alcohol. In 1974, during a visit to London, Burton was seen staggering out of a bar, barely able to walk. One notable incident occurred in 1975 when Burton was ejected from a theater after causing a scene during a performance. According to witnesses, he was shouting incoherently and had to be physically removed. The media had a field day, and the story was splashed across headlines. This public humiliation highlighted the extent of his alcohol dependency and its impact on his public image. Burton's drinking habits were well documented and became part of his public persona. He was often seen with a drink in hand at social events, parties, and even on film sets. His penchant for alcohol not only strained his relationships but also affected his professional life. Directors and co-stars often had to contend with his unpredictable behavior and frequent absences due to his drinking binges. Despite these incidents, Burton continued to work, though his excessive drinking affected his performances and health. His once powerful voice and commanding presence began to wane, and his roles became less frequent and less prominent. He starred in several notable films during this period, including The Exorcist II, The Heretic, and Equus, but his performances were often overshadowed by his off-screen antics. Burton's health deteriorated significantly due to his drinking. He suffered from liver cirrhosis and other alcohol-related illnesses, leading to multiple hospitalizations. Despite the toll on his body, Burton seemed resigned to his fate. He once said, "I was drunk for years. I was happy drunk," reflecting a sense of acceptance and perhaps denial of the severe consequences of his lifestyle. John Belushi's party lifestyle, 1980s. The beloved star of Animal House and the Blues Brothers, John Belushi had a reputation for hard partying that ultimately led to his tragic end. In the early 1980s, Belushi's drug and alcohol use was spiraling out of control. Known for his larger-than-life personality, Belushi often indulged in wild parties, which were infamous for their excess and debauchery. Belushi's reckless lifestyle came to a devastating halt in March 1982 when he was found dead in his bungalow at the Chateau Marmont Hotel in Los Angeles. The coroner's report revealed a lethal combination of cocaine and heroin, often referred to as a speedball. His sudden death at the age of 33 shocked the entertainment world and highlighted the dangers of Hollywood's party lifestyle. Belushi's struggle with substance abuse was well known among his friends and colleagues. Efforts were made to help him curb his addictions, but his escalating use of drugs and alcohol made it increasingly difficult. Mickey Rourke's downward spiral, late 1980s. A rising star in the 1980s with films like 9½ Weeks and Angel Heart, Mickey Rourke saw his career nosedive due to his off-screen behavior. In 1989, Rourke was arrested for public intoxication after a bar fight in Los Angeles. Witnesses described the scene as chaotic, with Rourke shouting and throwing punches. This incident was just one of many that highlighted his turbulent lifestyle. Rourke's behavior led to a reputation as a difficult and unreliable actor. Directors were hesitant to work with him, and his career suffered as a result. His erratic actions on set and frequent altercations with co-stars further tarnished his professional image. Rourke later admitted in interviews that his drinking and aggressive behavior were a form of self-destruction. "I was on a path of destruction, and alcohol was my fuel," he said. The late 1980s and 1990s were marked by a series of personal and professional setbacks for Rourke. His marriage to actress Deborah Fewer ended in divorce, and his subsequent relationships were equally tumultuous. His struggles with alcohol and substance abuse continued, leading to more arrests and a further decline in his career. The once promising actor found himself increasingly marginalized in Hollywood, with fewer roles being offered. Rourke's passion for boxing, which he had pursued before becoming an actor, resurfaced during this period. He returned to the ring in the early 1990s, hoping to escape his troubled acting career and personal demons. Although he achieved some success as a boxer, the sport took a physical toll on his body and further isolated him from the film industry. It wasn't until the 2000s that Rourke began to turn his life around. He sought therapy and gradually reduced his alcohol consumption. His comeback role in The Wrestler, 2008, marked a significant turning point, earning him critical acclaim and a Golden Globe Award. Despite his redemption arc, the damage to his career from his earlier behavior was significant and took years to repair. Robert Downey Jr. struggles, 1990. In the early 90s, Robert Downey Jr. was known for his incredible talent and growing career. However, his substance abuse issues became public knowledge in 1996 when he was arrested in Malibu. Found under the influence of drugs, he was driving erratically and speeding down Sunset Boulevard. Police found heroin, cocaine, and a .357 Magnum revolver in his car. Downey's arrest shocked the entertainment industry and his fans. His talent had been widely recognized, and he had been on a promising career trajectory with roles in films like Less Than Zero and Chaplin, for which he received an Academy Award nomination. The incident in Malibu, however, marked the beginning of a very public struggle with addiction. Downey later said in a court hearing, It's like I have a shotgun in my mouth, and I've got my finger on the trigger, and I like the taste of gunmetal," poignantly describing the grip addiction had on him. Despite repeated attempts at rehabilitation, his struggle with addiction continued. Between 1996 and 2001, Downey was arrested several times, each incident marking a significant low in his career. His arrests included a 1997 incident where he was found passed out in a neighbor's home, and a 1999 incident where he missed a court-ordered drug test, resulting in a jail sentence. His recurring legal issues led to his being fired from the television series Ally McBeal, a significant blow given his acclaimed performance on the show. The once bright star saw his career prospects dim as Hollywood studios and producers became increasingly reluctant to work with him due to his unpredictability and legal troubles. Throughout these years, Downey's talent remained evident, but his addiction overshadowed his professional achievements. His relationships also suffered, with his first marriage to Deborah Falconer ending in divorce partly due to his substance abuse problems. Despite the support of friends and family, Downey's path to recovery was fraught with setbacks. Imagine being handed the role of a lifetime only to have it snatched away amid accusations and scandal. Was Raquel really the difficult star MGM claimed, or was there something we were not told? Today, we dive deep into the events that led to her shocking firing from Cannery Row. Discover the untold truths, the battles behind the scenes, and the resilience of a star who fought against the odds. The Cannery Row Controversy. In December 1980, Raquel Welch was cast in a major role in the film adaptation of John Steinbeck's Cannery Row. This role was seen as an opportunity to take her career to new heights. However, just 4 weeks into filming, she was abruptly fired by MGM. The studio claimed she was not living up to her contract, citing her refusal to participate in early morning rehearsals and insistence on doing her own hair and makeup. This move by MGM was shocking and controversial, sparking a significant media frenzy. Welch filed a lawsuit against MGM alleging wrongful termination. She argued that the firing was a ploy to replace her with a younger actress, Deborah Winger. This lawsuit revealed the behind-the-scenes politics and power struggles within Hollywood. Her legal team presented evidence that MGM had conspired to remove her from the project to save money and exploit her established star power to generate buzz for the film before replacing her. In 1986, after a lengthy legal battle, the court ruled in favor of Welch, awarding her $11.8 million in damages. This victory was a significant moment in Hollywood history, highlighting the industry's often brutal treatment of its stars. Despite winning the lawsuit, the fallout from the case proved devastating for her career. She later stated, "It basically brought my film career to a screeching halt. It was numbing." The controversy had a lasting impact on Welch's reputation. Media outlets labeled her as difficult to work with, and many industry insiders were hesitant to hire her for future projects. The incident also brought to light the double standards faced by actresses in Hollywood. While male actors were often celebrated for their demands and eccentricities, female actors like Welch were vilified for similar behavior. The lawsuit and its aftermath marked a turning point in her career. She continued to work in the industry, but the roles she received were not of the same caliber as those in her earlier years. Breaking into Hollywood. The Cannery Row controversy marked a dramatic turning point in Raquel Welch's career. But to understand how she got there, we must look back at her rise to stardom in Hollywood. She began her Hollywood journey in the mid-1960s. Born Jo Raquel Tejada on September 5, 1940 in Chicago, she moved to California as a child. Her beauty and talent quickly caught the attention of casting agents. In 1966, she landed her breakout role in Fantastic Voyage, a sci-fi film where she played a member of a miniaturized medical team traveling inside a human body. The film was a box office hit, and she became an overnight sensation. Shortly after, she starred in 1,000,000 Years BC, 1966. The film itself was not critically acclaimed, but her portrayal of a prehistoric woman in a fur bikini became iconic. The promotional stills from the movie turned her into an international sex symbol. She later remarked, "I had no lines in that movie, not one word. But that bikini did all the talking." Her career soared with roles in films like Bedazzled, 1967, Bandolero, 1968, and 100 Rifles, 1969. The latter was notable for its controversial interracial love scene with Jim Brown, which was groundbreaking at the time. Raquel often spoke about the challenges she faced in Hollywood, mentioning that the industry wanted to typecast her as the sexy woman, and that she had to fight for every serious role she got. In 1973, she won a Golden Globe for her role in The Three Musketeers. She played Constance Bonacieux, showing her comedic talents alongside notable actors like Oliver Reed and Richard Chamberlain. Her performance was praised for its wit and charm, further solidifying her status as a versatile actress. Throughout the 1970s, Raquel diversified her roles, appearing in comedies, dramas, and action films. She starred in Mother Jugs and Speed, 1976, alongside Bill Cosby and Harvey Keitel. Despite mixed reviews, her performance was singled out for praise. She also made notable television appearances, including a guest spot on The Muppet Show in 1978, showcasing her ability to engage with a variety of audiences. By the late 1970s, she had established herself as a major star. Her fame extended beyond acting. She was a fashion icon and a fitness advocate. She released a series of workout videos in the 1980s, which were hugely successful. In interviews, she often spoke about the importance of fitness and health, saying, "Staying in shape is a lifelong commitment. It's not about looking good, but feeling good." However, behind these, there were constant battles with Hollywood executives who tried to pigeonhole her. She fought against being typecast and sought roles that would showcase her range as an actress. This struggle for professional respect and meaningful roles defined much of her career. The image versus reality. While Raquel Welch's public image was that of a glamorous Hollywood star, the reality behind the scenes was often more complex. Colleagues and directors had varying opinions about working with her. Some praised her professionalism and dedication, while others described her as demanding and difficult. Richard Fleischer, who directed The Prince and the Pauper, 1977, once said, "She was very professional and dedicated to her craft, but she also had high expectations of everyone around her." This sentiment was echoed by other directors who noted her meticulous attention to detail and her insistence on perfection. On the other hand, there were those who found her behavior challenging. During the filming of Myra Breckinridge, 1970, director Michael Sarn reportedly clashed with Welch frequently. The film, based on Gore Vidal's novel, was controversial and troubled from the start. She played a transgender character, a role that was groundbreaking but also risky. Sarn had described the experience as a nightmare, citing constant disagreements over scenes and her refusal to follow his direction. Despite the tensions, her performance in the film was bold and memorable, even if the film itself was critically panned. Her assertiveness was often interpreted as difficult behavior, a common double standard faced by many women in Hollywood. Men who exhibited similar traits were often seen as strong leaders, while women were labeled as problematic. Welch herself addressed this issue in interviews, explaining that standing up for herself and her work often led to being labeled as difficult. But she felt she had to do it because no one else would. Her insistence on doing her own hair and makeup was another point of contention. Welch believed that her appearance was a critical part of her brand, and she wanted to ensure it was done to her standards. This practice, while unusual, was part of her meticulous approach to her roles. She once said, "I know my face and my look better than anyone. I couldn't leave it to chance." Despite these challenges, commitment to her craft was undeniable. She put in long hours and was known for her intense preparation for roles. For Hannie Calder, 1971, she trained extensively in gun handling and horseback riding to portray a revenge-seeking widow convincingly. Her dedication paid off, earning praise for her strong, nuanced performance. The contrasting opinions about Welch's behavior highlight the complexities of navigating Hollywood as a female star. Her determination to control her image and career often put her at odds with the industry's expectations. However, it also allowed her to carve out a unique space for herself in an environment that frequently sought to limit her. While some saw her as demanding, others recognized her as a pioneer who challenged the norms of her time. Her story is a testament to the difficulties faced by women in Hollywood who refused to conform. The image of Raquel Welch that the public saw was carefully curated, but it was also a reflection of her true self: strong, independent, and unafraid to stand up for what she believed in. This duality between public persona and personal reality was a defining aspect of her career and legacy, the opportunity of a lifetime. Back in December 1980, Raquel Welch was given what many considered the opportunity of a lifetime. She was cast in the film adaptation of John Steinbeck's Cannery Row, a project that promised to elevate her career to new heights. Directed by David S. Ward, the film was highly anticipated and had the potential to showcase her acting range in a serious, dramatic role. Welch was enthusiastic about the project. She saw it as a chance to break away from the typecasting that had plagued her career and prove herself as a serious actress. She prepared rigorously for the role, eager to bring Steinbeck's complex characters to life on the big screen. However, tensions began to rise almost immediately after filming started. MGM executives and Welch clashed over various aspects of the production. The studio had high expectations, and the actress's insistence on doing things her way quickly became a point of contention. She was known for her meticulous approach to her appearance and demanded control over her hair and makeup, a practice that MGM found unusual and inconvenient. Further complicating matters were the early morning rehearsals that Welch reportedly refused to attend. The studio interpreted her actions as a lack of commitment, while she believed she was maintaining her professional standards. This friction highlighted the broader struggles she faced in Hollywood, where her desire for control over her career often put her at odds with the powerful men running the industry. After 4 weeks of filming, MGM made the abrupt decision to fire Welch. The official reason given was that she was not living up to her contractual obligations. The studio replaced her with Deborah Winger, a younger actress who was seen as more compliant. This move was not only a professional blow to the actress, but also a personal affront. She later remarked, "It was a devastating experience. I felt like everything I had worked for was being taken away from me." The firing quickly became a public scandal. Media outlets jumped on the story, painting her as difficult and hard to work with. This narrative played into the existing stereotypes about female stars who dared to assert themselves. The press coverage was relentless, and Welch found herself under intense scrutiny. Determined to fight back, she decided to take legal action against MGM. She filed a lawsuit for wrongful termination, arguing that the studio had conspired to remove her from the project unjustly. Her legal team presented evidence suggesting that MGM's decision was financially motivated, aiming to save money by replacing her with a less expensive actress. The lawsuit dragged on for years, becoming a significant legal battle in Hollywood. In 1986, the court ruled in Welch's favor, awarding her $11.8 million in damages. The ruling was a landmark moment, highlighting the often exploitative practices of the film industry. However, the victory came at a great cost. The controversy and subsequent blackballing by the industry effectively stalled her career. Despite the legal win, she struggled to find roles of the same caliber as before. The Cannery Row incident was a pivotal moment in her career, underscoring the challenges she faced in an industry that was often hostile to strong, independent women. It also revealed the lengths to which studios would go to maintain control over their stars. Welch's battle with MGM was not just about a single film. It was about asserting her rights and fighting against the systemic inequalities that defined Hollywood at the time. The legal battle and its fallout. Raquel Welch's decision to sue MGM for wrongful termination was both bold and risky. The lawsuit, filed in 1981, alleged that the studio had conspired to replace her with a younger, less expensive actress to cut costs. She claimed that her firing from Cannery Row was not due to her behavior on set, but rather a calculated move by MGM to save money. The legal battle was intense and protracted, lasting nearly 5 years. The legal team argued that MGM's actions were a breach of contract and that the studio had failed to provide a legitimate reason for her termination. They presented evidence that Welch had been professional and committed to the role, countering the studio's claims that she had been difficult to work with. MGM, on the other hand, portrayed Welch as a diva who made unreasonable demands and disrupted the production process. They cited her refusal to attend early morning rehearsals and her insistence on doing her own hair and makeup as examples of her unprofessional behavior. The studio's defense hinged on the argument that Welch's actions had negatively impacted the film's production schedule and overall quality. Throughout the trial, Welch remained adamant that she had been wronged. In interviews, she stated, "I stood up for myself because I knew I was right. I wasn't going to let them push me around." Her determination to fight for her rights garnered both support and criticism. Some industry insiders admired her courage, while others viewed her actions as a futile attempt to salvage her reputation. In 1986, the court ruled in Welch's favor, awarding her $11.8 million in damages. The ruling was a significant victory not just for her, but for all actors who had faced similar injustices in Hollywood. The court's decision highlighted the power dynamics within the industry and underscored the importance of holding studios accountable for their actions. However, the fallout from the lawsuit was far-reaching. Despite winning the case, Welch's career suffered immensely. The controversy surrounding the lawsuit had tarnished her reputation, and many producers and directors were hesitant to work with her. She found herself blacklisted by major studios, struggling to secure roles that matched her talent and experience. The media's portrayal of Welch during and after the trial did little to help her situation. She was often depicted as a difficult and demanding actress, reinforcing the negative stereotypes that had plagued her career. The press coverage focused more on the drama of the lawsuit than on the systemic issues it exposed. In reflecting on the lawsuit, she later said, "It was a bittersweet victory. I won the case, but I lost so much more in the process." Her words captured the complexity of her situation, a triumph in the courtroom that did little to restore her standing in Hollywood. The legal battle with MGM marked a turning point in Welch's career, shifting her focus from mainstream Hollywood films to other projects. She continued to act, but the roles she received were often in independent films or television movies. Despite the challenges, she remained resilient, determined to continue her career on her own terms. The blackballing and its consequences. Raquel Welch's victory in the lawsuit against MGM was a significant moment in Hollywood history, but it came at a steep price. The fallout from the case had a profound impact on her career, leading to her being blackballed by the industry. The term blackballing refers to the practice of unofficially banning someone from employment within a particular industry. For Welch, this meant that many major studios and producers were reluctant to hire her for future projects. The blackballing was a direct consequence of the negative publicity generated by the lawsuit. Despite the court ruling in her favor, the media portrayal of Welch as a difficult and demanding actress persisted. This narrative, combined with the industry's tendency to avoid controversy, resulted in fewer opportunities. The impact of being blackballed was immediate and severe. Roles that would have once been easily accessible were now out of reach. She found herself competing for parts in independent films and television movies far removed from the high-profile projects she had been accustomed to. The quality and prestige of the roles she received were not on par with her previous work. In a 1996 interview, she reflected on the challenges she faced during this period. After the lawsuit, it was like I was invisible. I wasn't getting the same calls, the same offers. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I knew I had to keep going, she said. Her resilience and determination to continue working despite the obstacles were evident. During the 1980s and 1990s, Welch took on a variety of roles in an effort to rebuild her career. She appeared in television movies such as Scandal in a Small Town, 1988, and Torch Song, 1993. These projects allowed her to continue acting, but they did not carry the same weight or visibility as her earlier work. Welch also turned to the stage, finding success in live theater. She starred in productions such as Woman of the Year on Broadway and Victor Victoria in the West End. These roles showcased her versatility and allowed her to connect with audiences in a new way. The theater provided a platform to demonstrate her talent beyond the confines of Hollywood. Despite these efforts, the blackballing had a lasting impact on Welch's career trajectory. The stigma attached to her name made it difficult to regain the same level of prominence she had enjoyed in the 1960s and 1970s. The industry's reluctance to embrace her fully highlighted the broader issues of power and control that pervaded Hollywood: public perception and media portrayal. The media has always played a crucial role in shaping public perception of celebrities, and Raquel Welch was no exception. Her journey from a Hollywood icon to a controversial figure and then a fitness advocate was closely followed and often sensationalized by the press. The media's portrayal of Welch was a double-edged sword, contributing to both her fame and the challenges she faced. In the early years of her career, the media celebrated her as a sex symbol and glamorous movie star. Magazine covers, interviews, and photo spreads highlighted her beauty and screen presence. Her iconic appearance in 1 Million Years BC solidified her status as an international sex symbol. The image of Welch in a fur bikini became one of the most famous promotional stills in film history. However, as her career progressed, the media's focus began to shift. Stories about her alleged difficult behavior on set and clashes with directors started to surface. The Cannery Row controversy and her subsequent lawsuit against MGM intensified this negative portrayal. Headlines labeled her as a diva, and the press often exaggerated her demands and actions. This narrative overshadowed her professionalism and dedication to her craft. Despite the negative press, Welch remained resilient and continued to speak out about her experiences. In interviews, she addressed the unfair treatment and double standards in the industry. She also used her platform to advocate for gender equality and actors' rights. "I've always believed that if you want something, you have to fight for it," she said in a 1994 interview. Her willingness to confront these issues head-on resonated with many and helped to shift some public perceptions. In the 1980s and 1990s, as Welch transitioned to stage work and became a fitness icon, the media's portrayal began to change again. Her successful Broadway debut in Woman of the Year and her fitness programs garnered positive attention. The press started to highlight her versatility and resilience, recognizing her ability to reinvent herself. Welch's fitness videos and business ventures were well received, and the media praised her dedication to health and wellness. She was featured in numerous magazines and television shows, discussing her fitness routines and promoting a healthy lifestyle. This positive coverage helped to rebuild her image and introduced her to a new generation of fans. She was the face of French New Wave, a symbol of elegance and intrigue. Jean Moreau captivated millions on screen, but off-screen, her life was a labyrinth of secrets. 7 years after her passing, her children have come forward with shocking truths. What were the rumors that haunted her, and which ones were true? Jean Moreau's mysterious persona. She was born on January 23, 1928 in Paris, France. Her father, Anatole Désiré Moreau, was a restaurateur, and her mother, Catherine Buckley, was an English dancer. Jean spent her childhood in Vichy, known for its spa waters. Returning to Paris as a teenager, she discovered her passion for acting. Moreau studied at the Conservatoire de Paris and joined the Comédie Française in 1947. By 1951, she left the prestigious theater company to explore film. Her breakthrough came in 1958 with the film Elevator to the Gallows, directed by Louis Malle. Her performance in Les Amants the same year solidified her status as a leading lady of French cinema. The 1960s marked a golden era for Moreau. She starred in François Truffaut's Jules et Jim, 1962, a classic of the French New Wave, which became a turning point in her career, making her an international star. Orson Welles admired her talent and cast her in The Trial, 1962, and Chimes at Midnight, 1965. Welles once said, "Jean Moreau is the greatest actress in the world." Her collaboration with Welles further boosted her career. In 1966, she won the Best Actress award at the Cannes Film Festival for Moderato Cantabile, directed by Peter Brook. Moreau played a lonely wife in a French provincial town, delivering a deeply moving performance. She continued to work with renowned directors, starring in Luis Buñuel's Diary of a Chambermaid in 1964 and Michelangelo Antonioni's La Notte, 1961. Her versatility and intense screen presence made her a favorite among filmmakers. Despite her fame, Moreau kept her private life guarded, rarely discussing personal matters in interviews. This reticence fueled public curiosity, leading to media speculation about her relationships and personal struggles. Her career spanned over 60 years, during which she appeared in over 130 films. Her contributions to cinema were recognized with numerous awards. In 1998, she received an honorary Caesar for her lifetime achievements, and the Venice Film Festival awarded her the Golden Lion for Career Achievement in 1991. The scandalous love affairs. Her private life often sparked speculation due to her high-profile relationships. Her first marriage was to Jean-Louis Richard, a director and screenwriter, in 1949. They had a son, Jerome, but their marriage ended in divorce in 1951. Her affair with Louis Malle began in the late 1950s. They collaborated on several films, including Elevator to the Gallows, 1958, and Les Amants, 1958. Malle once said, "She is a woman who will always remain a mystery to me." During the 1960s, Moreau had a romantic relationship with fashion designer Pierre Cardin. Their relationship lasted several years, and they remained close friends after their breakup. In the mid-1960s, Moreau was involved with Tony Richardson, a British director known for Tom Jones, 1963. One of her most significant relationships was with François Truffaut. They worked together on Jules et Jim, 1962, and The Bride Wore Black, 1968. Truffaut once remarked, "Jean is more than an actress, she is a force of nature." She was also linked to several other notable figures, including singer Miles Davis and actor Lee Marvin. Throughout her life, she maintained an air of mystery about her relationships, rarely speaking about her lovers in public. Despite her numerous affairs, Moreau never remarried after her divorce from Jean-Louis Richard. She once said in an interview, "I have loved many men, but marriage is not for me. My true love is cinema." Jean Moreau's love affairs were as captivating as her performances on screen, contributing to her legend and painting a picture of a woman who lived passionately and without regret. The hidden relationships. Her life included many discreet relationships unknown to the public. One such relationship was with Jean-Pierre Léaud, the young actor from François Truffaut's The 400 Blows, 1959. Their bond was profound and intellectual, beginning in the early 1960s when they worked together on The Bride Wore Black, 1968. Another hidden relationship was with Sacha Distel, a popular French singer and jazz guitarist. They met in the late 1960s and began a discreet affair that lasted several years. Moreau and Distel shared a mutual love for music and performance, known only to close friends and confidants. In the early 1970s, she had a significant yet secretive relationship with director William Friedkin. Known for The French Connection, 1971, and The Exorcist, 1973, Friedkin and Moreau met at a film festival and quickly became close. Their relationship was marked by deep mutual respect. Moreau also had a secret romance with actor and director Warren Beatty in the late 1960s. Beatty was captivated by her allure and sophistication. Their affair was brief but intense, filled with passionate discussions about film and art. The birth of her children. Jean Moreau's son, Jerome Richard, was born from her marriage to Jean-Louis Richard, which lasted from 1949 to 1951. Despite the divorce, she remained dedicated to her son, ensuring he was kept away from the public eye. Jerome's birth was initially a closely guarded secret. Moreau focused on her career and did not want her private life to overshadow her professional achievements. Jerome grew up away from the limelight, protected by his mother's insistence on privacy. Despite her fame, she ensured that Jerome had a relatively normal upbringing. She enrolled him in private schools and kept him away from film sets and parties. In an interview, Moreau once mentioned, "My son is the most important person in my life. Everything I do for him." While Jerome was the only child she publicly acknowledged, rumors persisted about other possible children. Some speculated that she had more children from her numerous relationships, but these were never confirmed. Moreau's ability to keep her private life under wraps only fueled these rumors. Moreau's protective nature extended to her son even in adulthood. Jerome pursued a career in academia, becoming a respected professor. far removed from the world of cinema. The relationship between Moreau and her son remained strong throughout her life. Her efforts to shield him from the media were successful, allowing him to live a life of relative anonymity. The dark rumors. Throughout her career, Jean Moreau was no stranger to rumors and scandals. One of the most enduring rumors concerned the paternity of her son, Jerome Richard. Despite her marriage to Jean-Louis Richard, speculation arose that Jerome's father might be someone else, including Louis Malle or Pierre Cardin. However, Jean always maintained that Jean-Louis Richard was Jerome's father, fiercely protecting her son's privacy. In the 1960s, rumors swirled about an alleged secret child born from Moreau's relationship with Pierre Cardin. Despite persistent gossip, neither she nor Cardin ever confirmed these claims. Friends, like actor Jean-Paul Belmondo, often dismissed these rumors. Another dark rumor involved Moreau's mental health. There were whispers that she suffered from severe depression and had multiple breakdowns during her career. In a rare candid interview, she addressed these speculations, saying, "I've had my share of dark moments like anyone else, but I channel them into my work." Moreau's relationships with younger men also sparked controversy. Her affair with Jean-Pierre Léaud, significantly younger, raised eyebrows. In the 1970s, rumors about her involvement with radical political groups surfaced. These claims were never substantiated but added to her mystique. The rumors and scandals surrounding Jean Moreau's life only enhanced her enigmatic image. Despite the speculations, she remained a fiercely private individual, rarely addressing the gossip directly. The only child speaks out. 7 years after Jean Moreau's death, her children, primarily her son, Jerome Richard, broke their silence, addressing persistent rumors and speculations that had surrounded their mother's life. Jerome, now a respected academic, gave a rare interview to a French magazine. He dispelled long-standing rumors about his paternity, stating, "My father is Jean-Louis Richard, as my mother always said." Jerome also addressed rumors of secret siblings, stating unequivocally, "I am my mother's only child. There are no hidden brothers or sisters." This clarification helped clear the air, bringing a sense of closure to the mystery that had surrounded her personal life. Jerome spoke about his mother's struggle with depression, a subject she had touched upon but never fully elaborated on. "Yes, my mother had her dark moments. She was a deeply emotional person and her work often took a toll on her. But she was resilient and always found a way to channel her emotions into her performances," Jerome explained. This admission shed light on the human side of Jean Moreau, portraying her not just as an enigmatic star but as a person who faced and overcame personal challenges. Jerome also reflected on the impact of his mother's fame on his own life. Growing up with Jean Moreau as a mother was both a privilege and a challenge. She was a loving mother, but her world was so different from that of a typical parent. I appreciated her efforts to keep me away from the spotlight. It allowed me to pursue my own path. Moreau's grandchildren also shared their perspectives, adding another layer to the narrative. They spoke about their grandmother with affection, describing her as kind, creative, and full of stories. One grandchild mentioned, "She would tell us tales from her films, but always with a lesson or a bit of wisdom. She was more than a movie star to us. She was our grandmother, full of love and guidance." For years, the public had speculated and created stories about her life. Her family's decision to speak out provided clarity and allowed fans to see the actress in a more personal light. It revealed the complexities of her character and the deep connections she had with her loved ones. The revelations from her children did not tarnish her image, but rather humanized her. They showed that behind the glamorous facade was a woman who, like anyone else, faced challenges and joys in her personal life. This candidness from her family offered a fitting tribute to Jean Moreau, honoring her memory while dispelling the myths that had long surrounded her. Confirming the scandals. As Jean Moreau's children spoke out, they not only clarified rumors but also confirmed some of the more scandalous stories that had followed her throughout her life. These revelations provided an unvarnished look at the actress's personal struggles and relationships, offering a deeper understanding of the woman behind the mystique. The children also confirmed the long-standing rumor of Moreau's affair with Louis Malle. While the relationship itself was well known, the extent of its impact on her was less understood. Jerome revealed, "Louis was one of my mother's great loves. Their connection went beyond a typical romance. It was deeply intellectual and artistic. Their breakup was hard on her, and it influenced many of her later works." This insight painted a picture of a woman who was deeply affected by her relationships, which in turn influenced her professional choices. Another scandal that was addressed involved Moreau's rumored affair with Orson Welles. Although their professional collaboration was celebrated, their personal relationship had always been shrouded in mystery. Jerome confirmed that the two had a romantic relationship during the filming of The Trial, 1962. Orson Welles admired my mother not just as an actress, but as a person. Their affair was intense and passionate, reflecting their larger-than-life personas. This confirmation added a new layer to the understanding of her personal life and the deep connections she formed with her co-stars. The children also confirmed the lesser-known affair with playwright Samuel Beckett. This relationship, which was kept very private, was characterized by a shared love for literature and theater. Samuel Beckett was a significant figure in my mother's life, Jerome said. Their relationship was not just romantic, but also profoundly intellectual. They inspired each other in many ways. This confirmation highlighted Moreau's intellectual depth and her attraction to minds as brilliant and complex as her own. One of the more painful confirmations was related to the strained relationship between Moreau and her son during certain periods of their lives. Jerome admitted, "There were times when my mother's work and her personal struggles created distance between us. It wasn't always easy being the child of such a prominent figure. However, we always found our way back to each other." This honesty about their relationship provided a realistic portrayal of the challenges faced by the family of a public figure. The children also dispelled the notion that Moreau had a secret child with Pierre Cardin. This clear denial helped to put to rest one of the more persistent rumors about her personal life. The family's perspective. The revelations about Jean Moreau's life and the confirmation of long-standing rumors inevitably had a profound impact on her children, especially her son, Jerome Richard. Growing up with a mother who was both a celebrated actress and an intensely private person presented unique challenges and shaped their lives in significant ways. Jerome Richard, in his rare interviews, shared insights into his childhood and the complexities of being the son of Jean Moreau. "My mother was a brilliant actress, but at home she was just my mom. She was loving and protective, always making sure I had a normal upbringing despite her fame." This duality of her life, balancing a high-profile career with a private family life, was a delicate act that influenced Jerome's development and worldview. The rumors about Moreau's mental health and personal relationships also affected Jerome deeply. He spoke about the emotional toll of seeing his mother struggle with depression. Her lows were very hard to witness. As a child, I didn't fully understand it, but I knew she was going through something painful. It made me grow up faster and develop a strong sense of empathy. This experience shaped Jerome's sensitivity and his approach to life, fostering a deep understanding of the complexities of human emotions. Jerome also discussed the impact of the persistent rumors about other potential siblings and secret children. The speculation was always there, adding a layer of confusion and curiosity to my life. It was only after my mother passed away and I addressed these rumors publicly that I felt a sense of closure. By speaking out, Jerome not only cleared the air but also found a way to reconcile his personal narrative with the public's perception of his mother. Despite the challenges, Jerome acknowledged the privileges that came with being Jean Moreau's son. "I had access to incredible artistic environments and met some of the most brilliant minds in the industry. It was an education in itself." His upbringing in such a culturally rich environment undoubtedly influenced his own career choices and intellectual pursuits. Jerome pursued a path in academia, becoming a respected professor, which allowed him to carve out his own identity separate from his mother's shadow. Her grandchildren also felt the impact of her legacy. Growing up, they were aware of their grandmother's iconic status, but experienced her primarily as a family member. "She was Grandma Jean to us," one grandchild shared. "She would tell us stories, play games, and encourage our creativity. It was only later that we fully grasped the extent of her influence in the film industry." The family's decision to break their silence and address the rumors brought them a sense of liberation. By confirming some stories and dispelling others, they reclaimed their narrative and honored Jean Moreau's memory on their own terms. Jerome reflected, "My mother lived a life full of passion and complexity. By sharing our side of the story, we hope people understand her as more than just an actress, but as a multifaceted human being." The revelations from Moreau's children provided a richer, more nuanced understanding of her life. They showed that behind the glamorous facade was a family navigating the challenges and joys of life with an iconic figure. Unseen letters and diaries. The discovery of Jean Moreau's personal letters and diaries added a new dimension to the understanding of her complex life. These documents, found after her death, provided intimate insights into her thoughts, emotions, and relationships, offering a candid glimpse into the mind of one of cinema's most enigmatic figures. The letters and diaries were discovered by Jerome Richard while sorting through his mother's belongings. He decided to share some of their contents with the public, believing that they would help paint a fuller picture of Jean Moreau. These writings are a testament to my mother's inner world. They reveal her struggles, her passions, and her reflections on life and art, Jerome explained. One of the most revealing aspects of these writings was Moreau's reflections on her relationships. In a letter to Louis Malle, she wrote, "Louis, you have been both my muse and my torment. Our love was a storm, beautiful and destructive. I cherish our moments together, but they also haunt me." This candid admission highlighted the intensity of her relationship with Malle and the profound impact it had on her. She described Wells as a force of nature, larger than life and yet so fragile inside. She wrote about their intellectual bond and the passionate debates they had about cinema and art. "Orson challenges me in ways no one else does. He sees through my facade, and that is both terrifying and exhilarating." The writings also provided a deeper understanding of Moreau's battle with depression. She often used her diaries to express her darkest thoughts and feelings. In one entry, she wrote, "The darkness is always there, lurking at the edges. Some days it feels like I am drowning. But then I step onto the stage or in front of the camera, and for a moment I am free." Moreau's letters to her son, Jerome, were particularly poignant. They revealed a tender, protective side of her that contrasted with her public persona. In one letter, she wrote, "My dearest Jerome, you are my anchor in this chaotic world. I want to shield you from the storms that I face. Know that my love for you is unwavering, even when I am not there." These letters highlighted her deep love for her son and her efforts to protect him from the tumultuous aspects of her life. The diaries also contained reflections on her career and the roles she chose. Moreau often wrote about the characters she played and how they resonated with her own life. "Catherine in Juliet Jim is a reflection of my own restless spirit. She embodies the freedom and the torment that I feel." These writings provided valuable insights into her approach to acting and the personal connections she found in her roles. The letters and diaries also touched upon the rumors that had surrounded her life. Moreau addressed these speculations with a mix of frustration and resignation. "The world will always create stories about me, true or false. I have learned to live with it, to find my peace in my own truth," she wrote in one diary entry. This acceptance of her public image showed her resilience in the face of constant scrutiny. The publication of these personal writings allowed fans and historians to gain a deeper understanding of Jean Moreau. They revealed a woman of great depth and complexity, whose personal struggles and passions were intricately tied to her art. Jean Moreau passed away on July 31, 2017 in Paris, at 89 years old. Her death marked the end of an era in French cinema. However, her enigmatic persona and extraordinary talent continue to captivate audiences worldwide. Grace Kelly, fishing an emerald bracelet out of a fish tank while completely nude. It's not a scene from one of her famous films, but a real-life moment that exposed her secret affair. The Princess of Monaco wasn't always royal, and her path to the throne was paved with scandals and secrets. Buckle up as we dive into the juicy details of Grace Kelly's most shocking indiscretion. The rising star. She was born on November 12, 1929 in Philadelphia. The third of four children, Grace Patricia Kelly grew up in a wealthy family. Her father, John B. Kelly Sr., was an Olympic gold medalist in rowing, winning 3 gold medals in the 1920 and 1924 Olympics. He later became a successful businessman in the brickmaking industry, amassing a fortune of over $200 million in today's currency. Her mother, Margaret Catherine Major, was the first woman to head the physical education department at the University of Pennsylvania. The Kelly household was strict and achievement-oriented, with Grace often feeling overshadowed by her athletic siblings. At age 12, Grace acted in her first play, Don't Feed the Animals, at the Old Academy Players in East Falls. This early experience sparked her passion for acting. Throughout her teens, she participated in school plays and local theater productions, often taking on challenging roles beyond her years. In 1947, at 18, she moved to New York City to pursue her dreams. She enrolled at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, paying her own tuition by modeling on the side. Her modeling work included appearances in magazines like Cosmopolitan and TV commercials for Old Gold cigarettes and Bayer aspirin. She earned $400 a week from modeling, a substantial sum at the time. During her time at the Academy, Grace studied under renowned acting coach Sanford Meisner, who helped shape her naturalistic acting style. She also took dance lessons and worked on perfecting her diction, determined to lose her Philadelphia accent. Her first big break came in 1949 when she debuted on Broadway in The Father by August Strindberg. Though the play ran for only 69 performances, it caught the attention of Hollywood producers. Critics praised her luminous quality, foreshadowing her future screen presence. In 1951, she made her film debut in 14 Hours, playing a small role as Louise Ann Fuller. The part lasted only 2 minutes on screen, but it was enough to get her noticed. Director Henry Hathaway later said, "There was something very special about her. She was graceful, gracious, and projected an inner calm." Her breakthrough came in 1952 when she starred opposite Gary Cooper in High Noon. The film was a massive success, winning 4 Academy Awards. Grace's performance as Amy Fowler Kane earned her critical acclaim and opened doors in Hollywood. The New York Times praised her bravely gallant and strong performance, highlighting her ability to hold her own against the veteran Cooper. During this time, she dated several high-profile men, including Clark Gable and Ray Milland. However, she kept her personal life private, cultivating an image of elegance and sophistication. She was often seen at the Stork Club, a popular celebrity haunt, but always maintained a dignified presence. In a rare interview from that period, Grace said, "I think it's because I was brought up believing it was graceless to talk about yourself and immodest to call attention to yourself." This reticence only added to her mystique and appeal. By 1953, at just 24 years old, Grace had become one of Hollywood's most sought-after actresses. She signed a 7-year contract with MGM, worth $750 per week with built-in raises. The American Academy Romance. In 1947, Grace Kelly began her studies at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York City. The prestigious school, founded in 1884, had already produced stars like Spencer Tracy and Lauren Bacall. During her time at the Academy, she met Don Richardson, a 30-year-old instructor. Richardson, married but separated, taught acting and directed student productions. Despite their 12-year age gap, the two quickly developed a close relationship. Grace excelled in her studies, earning praise from instructors and fellow students alike. In her second year, she played the lead in the Academy's production of The Philadelphia Story, a role that would later become iconic in her film career. Richardson, impressed by her talent and beauty, began to mentor her closely. Their relationship soon turned romantic, though they kept it discreet due to the school's policies and Richardson's marital status. In a later interview, Richardson recalled, "Grace was not the naive, sheltered girl many thought. She was a determined young woman who knew what she wanted." Her time at the Academy was marked by hard work and ambition. She took on various jobs to support herself, including modeling for the Walter Thornton Agency and working as a photographer's assistant. The relationship with Richardson continued to deepen, becoming a significant part of her early adult life. It was her first serious romance, and it would later play a crucial role in shaping her approach to relationships. By the time Grace graduated from the Academy in 1949, she had not only honed her acting skills, but also experienced her first taste of the complex romantic entanglements that would later define her personal life. Family disapproval. In 1950, Grace Kelly brought Don Richardson home to Philadelphia to meet her family. The Kellys, a prominent Irish Catholic household, lived in a stately brick mansion in the East Falls neighborhood. Her father, Jack Kelly, was a self-made millionaire and former Olympic rower. Her mother, Margaret, was a former model and swimming instructor. The family, including 3 siblings, adhered to strict Catholic values. The meeting was tense from the start. Jack Kelly, known for his blunt manner, immediately took issue with Richardson. He was 12 years older than Grace, still legally married and Jewish. All red flags for the conservative Kellys. During dinner, Jack Kelly reportedly asked Richardson pointed questions about his background and intentions. Her mother, Margaret, remained politely distant throughout the evening. Grace's older sister, Peggy, later recalled, "Father was furious. He couldn't believe she would bring home someone so unsuitable. The family's disapproval was clear. Jack Kelly allegedly told her, "No daughter of mine will be involved with a divorced man, let alone a Jew." This rejection deeply upset Grace, who had hoped her family would see beyond their prejudices. She stood by Richardson, causing a rift with her parents that would take months to heal. Despite the family's objections, she continued her relationship with Richardson in New York. She balanced her budding acting career with her romance, often sneaking away from auditions to meet him. The conflict with her family over Richardson marked one of the first times Grace openly defied her parents' wishes. It showcased her independence and willingness to follow her heart, traits that would define her throughout her life. This period of tension lasted several months, during which she had limited contact with her family. She threw herself into her work, landing small roles in television and theater productions, Grace's other suitors. As Grace Kelly's star rose in Hollywood, so did her list of admirers. Between 1951 and 1955, she was linked to several high-profile men, each adding to her growing reputation as a desirable leading lady. One of her early romances was with the debonair Oleg Cassini, a fashion designer who dressed Hollywood's elite. Cassini, 15 years her senior, proposed marriage in 1954. She accepted but later broke off the engagement, citing family pressure. In 1953, during the filming of Mogambo, she had a brief affair with Clark Gable. Gable, then 52, was captivated by the 24-year-old actress. Their on-set romance was an open secret, with co-star Ava Gardner later quipping, "Grace was the only woman I ever knew who slept with her makeup on." Another notable suitor was Claudius Charles Philippe, the charismatic banquet manager of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. Philippe, known for his connections in high society, courted Grace with extravagant gestures and introduced her to New York's elite social circles. Perhaps the most intriguing of her paramours was Ali Khan, a wealthy playboy and son of the Aga Khan III. Khan, fresh from his divorce from Rita Hayworth, pursued Grace relentlessly. Their affair was discreet but intense, with Khan showering her with expensive gifts. During this period, she also dated Ray Milland, her co-star in Dial M for Murder. Their relationship caused a scandal as Milland was married at the time. Her dating life became fodder for gossip columns. Hedda Hopper, a famous Hollywood columnist, once wrote, "Grace Kelly's romances are as varied as her film roles. One wonders which will lead to a lasting performance." Despite the attention on her love life, Grace maintained a public image of sophistication and discretion. She rarely commented on her relationships, once telling a reporter, "A woman's private life should remain private." In late 1951, Grace Kelly received a stunning emerald bracelet. The piece was exquisite, a gold band studded with large, vivid green emeralds. Its value was estimated at over $5,000, a small fortune at the time. The bracelet's origin became a subject of speculation. Many believed it was a gift from Ali Khan, known for his lavish presents to lovers. Khan had a habit of giving similar jewelry to his paramours, often recycling designs. Grace wore the bracelet sparingly, aware of its potential to spark gossip. She was seen with it at a few Hollywood parties, always deflecting questions about its provenance. During a fitting for High Noon in 1952, costume designer Edith Head noticed the bracelet. Head later recalled, "It was too opulent for a young actress's salary. I knew it must have come from an admirer." The bracelet became a secret symbol of her hidden romantic life. She kept it in a locked jewelry box in her apartment, away from prying eyes. In March 1952, Grace attended a charity gala wearing the bracelet. Gossip columnist Luella Parsons noted in her column, "Miss Kelly's new emerald bracelet caused quite a stir. One wonders who the generous benefactor might be." The jeweler who created the bracelet, wishing to remain anonymous, described it years later. "It was a custom piece designed to catch the light. Whoever commissioned it wanted to make a statement." Grace's close friend, actress Rita Gam, once asked about the bracelet. Grace reportedly smiled and said, "A lady never tells, darling." The fateful evening. On a crisp autumn evening in 1952, Grace Kelly invited Don Richardson to her New York apartment. She had just finished filming Mogambo and was back in the city for a brief stay. The apartment, located on East 66th Street, was a small but elegantly furnished one-bedroom. She had decorated it herself, mixing antiques with modern pieces. Richardson arrived around 8 p.m., bringing a bottle of champagne to celebrate Grace's recent success. The couple had been seeing each other less frequently due to her busy filming schedule. Grace greeted him wearing a simple black dress, her hair loose around her shoulders. What caught Richardson's eye, however, was the emerald bracelet glinting on her wrist. The evening began pleasantly. They shared a light dinner Grace had prepared, a salad and cold chicken, a recipe she'd learned from her mother. After dinner, they moved to the small living room. She put on a record, Frank Sinatra's "I've Got You Under My Skin," and poured more champagne. As they talked, Grace seemed distracted, frequently touching the emerald bracelet. Richardson later recalled, she kept fiddling with it, almost nervously. Around 10 p.m., she excused herself to change. When she returned, she was wearing nothing but the emerald bracelet. This bold move was uncharacteristic of the usually reserved Grace. The confrontation. Richardson, who had been in a relationship with Kelly for several months, noticed a distinctive emerald bracelet she was wearing. He recognized it as similar to one he had seen on another woman at a party. That woman had mentioned it was a gift from Ali Khan, a well-known playboy and international socialite. When Richardson questioned Kelly about the bracelet's origin, she was unable to provide a satisfactory explanation. This led to a heated discussion about their relationship and Kelly's involvement with other men, particularly Ali Khan. The confrontation resulted in the end of Kelly and Richardson's relationship. Richardson, feeling betrayed, broke things off with Kelly. Grace's primary concern following the breakup was likely protecting her public image and burgeoning career. As a rising star in Hollywood, she was acutely aware of the potential damage that personal scandals could cause. In the days and weeks following the incident, Grace continued her work in Hollywood without any public hint of personal turmoil. She maintained her carefully cultivated image of elegance and purity, which was crucial to her appeal as an actress. The bracelet incident, while significant in her personal life, did not impact her professional trajectory. Grace's career continued to flourish, suggesting that she was adept at separating her private affairs from her public persona. Hollywood ascent. In the wake of the bracelet incident, Grace Kelly threw herself into her work. 1953 saw her star rise meteorically in Hollywood, transforming her from a promising newcomer to a bona fide A-list celebrity. Her performance in Mogambo alongside Clark Gable and Ava Gardner earned her first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. The film, directed by Joan Ford, was a romantic adventure set in Africa. It grossed over $8 million at the box office, a substantial sum for the time. On set, director Joan Ford praised Grace's professionalism. "She's always prepared, always on time," he told reporters. A director's dream. Ford, known for his gruff demeanor, rarely gave such effusive praise, making his words all the more impactful in Hollywood circles. In rapid succession, she appeared in 5 films in 1954, an incredible feat that demonstrated her work ethic and versatility as an actress. Dial M for Murder, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, was her first collaboration with the master of suspense. The Thriller, in which she played a woman marked for murder by her husband, made $2.7 million domestically. Hitchcock was impressed by Grace's ability to project vulnerability and strength simultaneously. Rear Window, another Hitchcock classic, followed. Her chemistry with James Stewart was palpable, and the film earned $5.3 million at the box office. Her character, Lisa Fremont, became a fashion icon, with women across America clamoring to emulate her elegant style. Edith Head, the costume designer, said, "Never have I worked with someone who knew so instinctively what worked for her on screen." The country girl proved to be Grace's defining role. Playing against type as Georgie Elgin, the dowdy wife of an alcoholic, she stunned critics and audiences alike. To prepare for the role, she spent time observing the wives of alcoholics in support groups, bringing a raw authenticity to her performance. Variety praised her eloquent portrayal, calling it a tour de force. The film grossed $6.5 million, impressive for a dramatic piece without action or adventure elements. On March 30th, 1955, she won the Academy Award for Best Actress for The Country Girl. At 25, she was one of the youngest winners in that category. The ceremony, held at the RKO Pantages Theater in Hollywood, was a star-studded affair. She beat out stiff competition, including Judy Garland, who many had considered the favorite for A Star is Born. In her acceptance speech, Grace said, "The thrill of this moment keeps me from saying what I really feel." The audience gave her a standing ovation that lasted nearly a full minute. Behind the scenes, she worked tirelessly. She often spent 14-hour days on set, followed by hours memorizing lines for her next role. She was known to arrive on set before dawn, often beating the crew to prepare for her scenes. By the end of 1955, Grace had become one of Hollywood's highest-paid actresses, commanding $100,000 per film. This put her in the same league as established stars like Marilyn Monroe and Elizabeth Taylor. She had also successfully buried any whispers of scandal, her public image untarnished by her private affairs. In just 3 years, she had gone from a relative unknown to an Oscar-winning superstar, setting the stage for what many expected to be a long and illustrious career in cinema. The Hitchcock years and royal destiny. In 1955, Grace Kelly's collaboration with Alfred Hitchcock reached its peak with To Catch a Thief. Filmed on the French Riviera, it grossed $8.75 million worldwide. The film's success was due in large part to the chemistry between Grace and her co-star, Cary Grant. Hitchcock utilized the stunning locations and her elegance to create a visually sumptuous film that audiences flocked to see. Hitchcock praised Grace's acting, saying, "She's the only actress I've worked with who has a complete understanding of the frame." This high praise from the notoriously perfectionist director spoke volumes about her technical skill and screen presence. Hitchcock would later admit that Grace was his favorite actress to work with, citing her intelligence and ability to take direction. During the Cannes Film Festival in May 1955, Grace met Prince Rainier III of Monaco. The meeting, arranged by Olivia de Havilland, lasted only 15 minutes, but would change the course of her life. She was in Cannes to promote To Catch a Thief and represent the U.S. delegation at the festival. The brief encounter with Rainier was initially seen as nothing more than a photo opportunity. In December, Rainier visited the U.S. on a tour to bolster American support for his small principality. He reconnected with Grace in Philadelphia, where he was a guest at the Kelly family home. After just 3 days, Rainier proposed to her with a Cartier engagement ring featuring a 10.47-carat emerald-cut diamond. The whirlwind romance caught the public's imagination, with newspapers dubbing it a real-life fairy tale. MGM, seeing a publicity opportunity, agreed to pay the $2 million dowry demanded by Monaco. They also negotiated to film the wedding, resulting in the documentary The Wedding in Monaco. This savvy move by the studio turned what could have been a loss, Grace leaving acting, into a publicity coup. Her last film, High Society, wrapped in January 1956. A musical remake of The Philadelphia Story, it co-starred Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra. The film would gross $13 million, becoming her highest-grossing picture. It was a bittersweet experience for her, knowing it would be her final Hollywood role. On April 18, 1956, Grace Kelly married Prince Rainier in a lavish ceremony watched by an estimated 30 million television viewers. The event was dubbed the Wedding of the Century by the press. Monaco declared a national holiday, and the celebration lasted for 2 days. The wedding required 2 ceremonies, a civil ceremony on April 18th and a religious one on April 19th. Grace's wedding dress, designed by Helen Rose of MGM, used 25 yards of silk taffeta and 100 yards of silk net. The dress took 30 seamstresses 6 weeks to complete and has since inspired countless bridal gowns, including that of Kate Middleton. After the wedding, Grace retired from acting at age 26. She had made only 11 films in her 7-year career, but her impact on cinema was undeniable. Her decision to leave Hollywood at the height of her fame was shocking to many, with some predicting she would eventually return to acting. In her final press conference as an actress, she stated, "I'm not leaving Hollywood. I'm simply going to a new kind of acting." This cryptic statement left the door open for speculation about her future involvement in the arts. As Princess of Monaco, she focused on charity work and cultural initiatives. She established the Princess Grace Foundation to support local artisans and artists. Grace also worked to modernize Monaco's constitution and economy, helping to transform the principality from a sleepy tax haven to a modern state. Despite her new role, Grace never completely left the world of entertainment. She narrated documentary films, gave poetry readings, and even considered a return to acting in 1977 for Hitchcock's The Short Night. However, public opinion in Monaco against their princess returning to acting ultimately led her to decline the role. What happens when a Hollywood bombshell defies the odds and takes on the studio system? Ann Sheridan's journey in The Dough Girls is more than just a film role. It's a saga of grit, glamour, and groundbreaking success. From backstage conflicts to box office triumphs, uncover how Sheridan's tenacity and talent redefined her career and left an indelible mark on Hollywood. The rise of Hollywood's oomph girl. Born Clara Lou Sheridan on February 21, 1915 in Denton, Texas, Ann Sheridan quickly became one of Hollywood's most recognized faces. Her career began after winning a beauty contest at Paramount Pictures, leading to her first film appearance in Search for Beauty, 1934. Although initial roles were minor, her undeniable talent and striking look soon earned her more significant parts. By 1939, Warner Brothers recognized her potential and signed her to a contract. The studio's decision was a pivotal moment, transforming her into a star. In Angels with Dirty Faces, 1938, Sheridan's portrayal of Lori Ferguson showcased her acting range and garnered critical acclaim. Her performance alongside James Cagney and Humphrey Bogart marked her as a formidable talent in Hollywood. Following this success, she became known as the Oomph Girl, a nickname she famously disliked. Despite her objections, the moniker stuck, and she embraced it professionally. In an interview with Photoplay magazine in 1939, she remarked, "I'm sorry now I ever had my hair bobbed. I'm sorry I ever posed for that silly picture. I'm sorry about all of this oomph business." Her career continued to soar with hits like They Drive By Night, 1940, and King's Row, 1942. In King's Row, Sheridan's role as Randy Monahan solidified her reputation. The film's success and her performance led to more leading roles. By the early 1940s, Sheridan was one of Warner Brothers' top stars. Her popularity wasn't just limited to the silver screen. During World War II, she was a prominent figure in the war effort, participating in USO tours and promoting war bonds. In a 1943 interview with the Los Angeles Times, Sheridan said, "If I can do something to help, no matter how small, I'll do it." The Doughgirls script acquisition. In the early 1940s, Warner Brothers was looking for a fresh and engaging comedy to lift the spirits of wartime America. The search led them to a popular Broadway play titled The Doughgirls, written by Joseph Fields. The play, which debuted in 1942, was a hit on the stage, known for its sharp wit and humorous take on the chaotic housing situation in Washington, D.C. during World War II. The success on Broadway convinced Warner Bros. Executives that it had great potential as a film. Warner Brothers purchased the film rights to The Doughgirls in 1943. The studio believed that the play's humorous and topical content would translate well to the screen. They began assembling a strong cast to ensure the film's success. Ann Sheridan was quickly identified as the perfect fit for the lead role of Edna Stokes, a sharp-witted and resilient woman caught up in the comedic chaos of wartime housing. Jack L. Warner, the head of Warner Brothers, personally approached her for the role. He believed her star power and comedic timing were crucial for the film's success. In a memo dated February 12, 1944, Warner wrote, "Sheridan has the charm and the comedic edge that this film needs. She is our top choice for Edna Stokes." Sheridan, who had just completed a successful run in Shine On Harvest Moon, 1944, was excited about the project. She saw it as an opportunity to showcase her comedic skills and take on a role that was both challenging and entertaining. In a letter to her agent, dated March 1, 1944, she expressed her enthusiasm. "The Doughgirls is exactly the kind of film I want to be part of. It's funny, it's smart, and it's exactly what people need right now." The casting process for the film was meticulous. Alongside Sheridan, Warner Brothers brought in seasoned actors like Alexis Smith, Jane Wyman, and Jack Carson to round out the ensemble. Each actor brought their unique flair to the project, promising a dynamic and engaging film. By mid-1944, the script adaptation was complete, and pre-production began in earnest. Warner Brothers ensured that the transition from stage to screen retained the play's original charm and humor. The studio also made sure that the film's production design and costumes reflected the period accurately, immersing audiences in the wartime setting. With the script finalized and the cast assembled, The Doughgirls was ready to move into the production phase. The stage was set for a film that would not only entertain, but also bring a much-needed lightheartedness to a country in the midst of war. Pre-production buzz. As Warner Brothers geared up for the production of The Doughgirls, excitement within the studio and the industry grew. The combination of a successful Broadway play, a stellar cast, and a promising script generated significant buzz. Ann Sheridan, in particular, was at the center of this anticipation, as her involvement was seen as a major draw for audiences. Pre-production activities kicked off in the summer of 1944. Warner Brothers put together a dedicated team of professionals to ensure the film's success. Delmer Daves, a talented director known for his work on Destination Tokyo, 1943, was brought on board to helm the project. Daves was enthusiastic about working with Sheridan and believed in her ability to bring the character of Edna Stokes to life. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter in August 1944, Daves said, "Ann Sheridan has a unique ability to blend humor and heart in her performances. She's perfect for this role, and I'm excited to see her bring Edna to the screen." During this period, Sheridan prepared diligently for her role. Known for her commitment to her craft, she spent considerable time studying the play's source material and working with the film's writers to ensure a seamless transition from stage to screen. She attended numerous rehearsals and script readings, where she collaborated closely with her co-stars to develop the on-screen chemistry essential for a successful comedy. Her dedication was evident in a letter she wrote to Delmer Daves on September 5, 1944. "I've been going over the script and really digging into Edna's character. I want to make sure she's not just funny but also relatable and real. I'm looking forward to our first read-through with the whole cast." The film's production design and costumes were also meticulously planned. Ori Kelly, the renowned costume designer, was tasked with creating the wardrobe for the Doughgirls. His designs aimed to capture the essence of the 1940s while highlighting the personalities of each character. In a meeting with studio executives, Ori Kelly emphasized the importance of authenticity. The costumes need to reflect the era and the characters' personalities. Anne's outfits, in particular, will play a key role in defining Edna's character. Warner Brothers spared no expense in ensuring that the set designs were both authentic and visually appealing. The film's set, designed to replicate the chaotic and overcrowded housing conditions in Washington, D.C. during the war, was constructed with meticulous attention to detail. As pre-production progressed, industry insiders and the media began to take notice. Articles and previews in trade publications like Variety and The Hollywood Reporter generated further excitement. An article in Variety on September 20, 1944, highlighted the film's potential. With a top-tier cast led by Ann Sheridan and a script based on a hit Broadway play, The Doughgirls is shaping up to be one of the most anticipated comedies of the year. By the end of September 1944, everything was in place for the film to move into the production phase. The cast and crew were ready, the sets were built, and the excitement was palpable. All eyes were now on The Doughgirls, as Warner Brothers prepared to bring this promising comedy to life. Filming begins. In October 1944, the production of The Doughgirls officially commenced. Warner Brothers transformed sound stages into bustling makeshift apartments to replicate the chaotic housing situation in Washington, D.C. during World War II. These sets provided the perfect backdrop for the film's comedic escapades. Director Delmer Daves set a fast-paced yet collaborative tone from the start. Ann Sheridan, who was already known for her professionalism, quickly adapted to Daves's directing style. Her first scenes showcased her character, Edna Stokes, navigating the humorous turmoil of overcrowded living conditions. The cast's chemistry was immediately apparent, setting the stage for a cohesive and dynamic film. Jack Carson, playing the role of Arthur Halstead, shared in an interview with the Los Angeles Times, "Working with Ann was a joy. She had this incredible ability to make everyone feel comfortable and brought a natural humor to her role that was infectious." The atmosphere on set was a blend of rigorous work and lighthearted moments. Sheridan was known for her practical jokes, which kept the mood upbeat despite the demanding schedule. During one particularly grueling day of shooting, she filled co-star Jane Wyman's prop handbag with confetti. Wyman later recalled, "I opened my bag during a take and outpoured confetti. The entire set erupted in laughter. Ann had a way of keeping things fun, even when the work was tough." The film's complex scenes, involving multiple characters and physical comedy, required precise coordination. Delmer Daves and the assistant directors worked closely with the actors to perfect these scenes. One notable sequence involved a slapstick series of events with characters entering and exiting rooms in rapid succession. Sheridan's timing was impeccable, earning praise from the crew. Additionally, the studio's strict budget constraints meant that the team had to be resourceful. Her resourcefulness shone through when she suggested using simpler set pieces to expedite scene changes, a move that saved both time and money. Another memorable incident occurred during the filming of a pivotal scene where Edna Stokes delivers a monologue about the absurdities of wartime housing. As Sheridan delivered her lines, a piece of the set collapsed unexpectedly. Unfazed, she ad-libbed a line about the state of the building, drawing laughter from the cast and crew. This take was so well received that it was included in the final cut of the film. As filming progressed, the cast and crew developed a camaraderie that translated well on screen. Alexis Smith and Jane Wyman, playing Maureen and Nan respectively, often praised Sheridan for her leadership and support. In a 1945 interview with Modern Screen, Smith stated, "Anne was the glue that held us all together. Her talent and her spirit lifted everyone's performance." By December 1944, principal photography was nearing completion. The scenes had been shot with a mixture of precision and spontaneity, capturing the essence of the original play while bringing a fresh cinematic flair. The dedication and hard work of the entire team, led by Sheridan's stellar performance, promised a film that would resonate with audiences and critics alike. With the final scenes wrapped up, the Doe Girls moved into the post-production phase. The film's journey from script to screen had been filled with challenges, laughter, and remarkable teamwork. Anne Sheridan's role in this journey was pivotal, her talent and determination ensuring that The Doe Girls would be a standout comedy in Warner Brothers' 1945 lineup. On-set challenges. The Doe Girls production faced numerous challenges that tested the resilience and creativity of the cast and crew. Despite the lighthearted nature of the film, the behind-the-scenes work was anything but easy. Technical difficulties, scheduling conflicts, and external pressures from the studio created a demanding environment. One of the most persistent challenges was dealing with the tight filming schedule. Warner Brothers had allocated a limited time frame to complete the movie, aiming to release it while wartime comedies were still in high demand. This led to long hours on set and a rigorous shooting schedule. Delmer Daves, the director, often pushed the cast to their limits to stay on track. Anne Sheridan's dedication was instrumental in navigating these pressures. She maintained a positive attitude and encouraged her co-stars, which helped keep morale high. In a letter to her friend and fellow actress Bette Davis, Sheridan wrote, "We're working long hours, but the team spirit here is incredible. We're all determined to make this a great film." Technical issues were another significant hurdle. The film required complex set pieces to recreate the chaotic housing scenarios central to the plot. Frequent malfunctions with these sets disrupted filming. One particularly troublesome scene involved a revolving door that repeatedly jammed. This scene was crucial for a comedic sequence, and its delays frustrated the entire crew. Sheridan's patience and improvisational skills proved invaluable during these moments. During one of the breakdowns, she suggested altering the blocking to work around the malfunction. This quick thinking saved valuable time and kept the production moving. Studio interference also posed challenges. Warner Brothers executives closely monitored the production, frequently visiting the set and suggesting changes. These interruptions sometimes clashed with Delmer Daves' vision for the film, causing tension. Anne Sheridan often acted as a mediator, using her status and rapport with the executives to maintain a balance between creative integrity and studio demands. A notable incident occurred when the studio insisted on a scene change that Daves felt would undermine the film's comedic flow. She arranged a meeting with Jack Warner to discuss the issue. She diplomatically presented their case, emphasizing the importance of the scene as originally conceived. Her persuasive argument convinced Warner to allow them to proceed as planned, demonstrating her influence and commitment to the project. Despite the pressures and obstacles, the cast and crew's camaraderie grew stronger. Sheridan's leadership and sense of humor played a significant role in fostering this unity. She frequently organized impromptu gatherings after long shooting days, where everyone could relax and bond. These moments of respite were crucial for maintaining a positive atmosphere on set. Notable scenes. As the Doe Girls production continued, several key scenes stood out, showcasing the comedic talent and chemistry of the cast, particularly Anne Sheridan. These scenes became iconic moments in the film, highlighting the absurdities of wartime housing and her impeccable comedic timing. One of the most memorable scenes involved Sheridan's character, Edna Stokes, attempting to navigate a chaotic apartment filled with multiple tenants. The sequence required precise timing and coordination as characters entered and exited rooms in rapid succession, creating a whirlwind of confusion and comedy. Sheridan's ability to deliver her lines with perfect timing and maintain her composure amid the chaos was crucial to the scene's success. Delmer Daves, the director, had high praise for her performance in this sequence. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he said, "Anne's timing was flawless. She brought a natural energy to the scene that elevated the entire cast's performance. Watching her work was like seeing a masterclass in comedic acting." Another standout moment was a scene where Edna, in a fit of frustration, delivers a monologue about the absurdities and challenges of living in an overcrowded apartment during the war. This scene allowed Sheridan to showcase her range, blending humor with a touch of pathos. The monologue, penned by screenwriter James V. Kern, was both funny and poignant, capturing the audience's attention. During the filming of this scene, Sheridan's emotional depth and sincerity were evident. Her delivery was so compelling that it moved many crew members to tears. Jane Wyman, who played Nan, later recounted in an interview, "Anne's performance in that monologue was extraordinary. She managed to capture the frustration and resilience of her character in a way that was both hilarious and heart-wrenching." A particularly challenging scene involved a series of physical comedy routines, including a slapstick sequence where Edna tries to fix a broken bed. The scene required Sheridan to perform complex physical stunts, including falling off the bed and getting tangled in the sheets. Her background in physical comedy and her athleticism were on full display, impressing both the cast and crew. One of the film's funniest moments came from an unscripted incident. During a scene where Edna is trying to cook dinner in the cramped apartment kitchen, a prop malfunctioned, causing a pot to explode unexpectedly. Sheridan's quick thinking led her to ad-lib a line about the hazards of wartime cooking, which fit seamlessly into the scene, and left the cast and crew in stitches. Delmer Daves decided to keep the take in the final cut, recognizing the genuine humor it added to the film. Battling behind the scenes. During the production of The Dough Girls, frequent interference from Warner Brothers executives clashed with Delmer Daves' vision and the cast's creative process. The studio insisted on altering key scenes to make them more commercially appealing, which Delmer Daves resisted, aiming to preserve the film's integrity. Anne Sheridan played a crucial role in these negotiations. Her star power and rapport with studio executives allowed her to advocate for the creative team's vision. In a meeting with Jack Warner, she argued against dumbing down the humor, which she believed would undermine the film's quality and insult the audience's intelligence. Jack Warner acknowledged her concerns in a memo, agreeing to a balanced approach. Despite this victory, studio demands continued to create friction, often disrupting filming. Sheridan's leadership and diplomatic skills were instrumental in maintaining morale. She frequently acted as a buffer, negotiating compromises that allowed the film to stay true to its original vision. Her ability to navigate these challenges earned her respect from both the creative team and the studio. One major contention was the film's ending. The studio wanted a more conventional conclusion, while Daves and the writers preferred a nuanced ending. Sheridan suggested a revised ending that satisfied both visions, preserving the film's integrity. Her role in these negotiations was pivotal, ensuring The Dough Girls retained its charm and wit despite external pressures. Publicity and premiere. As The Dough Girls neared completion, Warner Brothers launched an extensive publicity campaign to generate buzz around the film. The studio knew that Anne Sheridan's star power was a major draw, and they centered much of their marketing efforts around her. Publicity stills of Sheridan, often showcasing her in glamorous attire, were released to magazines and newspapers. The tagline, "Anne Sheridan in her funniest role yet," appeared in various promotional materials. Warner Brothers understood that her comedic talents and popular appeal would attract audiences eager for lighthearted entertainment during wartime. Warner Brothers scheduled the film's premiere for December 25, 1944, aiming to capitalize on the holiday season. The premiere was held at the prestigious Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood, a fitting venue for such a high-profile release. The event was a star-studded affair, with many of Hollywood's biggest names in attendance. The positive reception continued as reviews started to pour in. Critics praised the film for its sharp humor, engaging storyline, and strong performances. The New York Times review highlighted her role. "Anne Sheridan shines in The Dough Girls. delivering a performance that is both delightful and nuanced. Her portrayal of Edna Stokes is a testament to her versatility and talent. Box office numbers from the opening week further underscored the film's success. The Doughgirls quickly became one of Warner Brothers' top-grossing films of the year. The studio's investment in the film and its extensive publicity campaign paid off handsomely. Hollywood, the land of dreams, scandals, and unstoppable power. But how did it all begin? Let's rewind to the early 1900s, when filmmakers fled to the West and the seeds of an empire were planted. From the first silent films to the rise of the studio system, discover the hidden controversies, the founding fathers, and the scandals that rocked Tinseltown. The genesis. In the early 1900s, the film industry was dominated by Thomas Edison's Motion Picture Patents Company, MPPC, which held numerous patents on filmmaking equipment. This monopolistic control stifled creativity and financial freedom for many independent filmmakers. To escape these constraints, they sought a new location where they could work without the fear of legal retribution from Edison's aggressive patent enforcers. Los Angeles emerged as the ideal destination. The city's diverse landscapes, ranging from beaches to mountains, provided perfect settings for a variety of films. Additionally, the favorable climate allowed for year-round filming, a significant advantage over the harsher winters of the East Coast. The physical distance from Edison's reach also offered a degree of safety for these pioneering filmmakers. In 1910, D.W. Griffith, a prominent director, and the Biograph Company were among the first to shoot a film in Los Angeles. Their film, In Old California, marked the beginning of a burgeoning industry. Following this, many filmmakers, producers, and actors flocked to the West Coast, attracted by the promise of freedom and opportunity. One of the earliest studios, Nestor Studio, was established in 1911 by David Horsley. Located on the corner of Sunset Boulevard and Gower Street, it became the first studio in Hollywood. Soon after, other studios like Universal Pictures, Paramount Pictures, and Warner Brothers were founded, laying the groundwork for what would become the world's entertainment capital. Universal Pictures, founded by Carl Laemmle in 1912, quickly became a significant player. Laemmle, an immigrant from Germany, saw the potential in consolidating his distribution company with a production studio. His innovative approach included the creation of Universal City in 1915, a sprawling 230-acre studio complex that showcased the full potential of Hollywood's capabilities. Paramount Pictures, originally known as Famous Players Film Company, was founded by Adolf Zukor in 1912. Zukor's vision was to produce feature-length films that catered to middle-class audiences, moving away from the short films that were popular at the time. Paramount's early success set a high standard for the industry. Warner Brothers, established in 1923 by brothers Harry, Albert Sam, and Jack Warner, would go on to become one of the most influential studios. Their early innovations included the use of synchronized sound, which revolutionized the film industry. This migration west was not without its challenges. Filmmakers faced legal battles, financial difficulties, and the constant pressure to innovate and attract audiences. Yet, their determination and creativity laid the foundation for Hollywood's future. Founding fathers and early studios. The early days of Hollywood were shaped by visionaries like Cecil B. DeMille, Samuel Goldwyn, and Louis B. Mayer. Cecil B. DeMille, a director and producer, established Hollywood's reputation for grand storytelling. His 1914 film, The Squaw Man, was one of the first feature films shot in Los Angeles, proving Hollywood's potential for high-quality filmmaking. Samuel Goldwyn entered the film industry with the Lasky Company, which became Paramount Pictures. In 1916, he founded Goldwyn Pictures, which later merged to form Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM. Goldwyn's influence was significant in shaping Hollywood's studio system. Louis B. Mayer, synonymous with MGM, began as a film exhibitor before moving to Los Angeles. Mayer's business sense and talent for nurturing stars helped build MGM into a powerful studio, producing many iconic films. Early studios flourished alongside these pioneers. Universal Pictures set the standard for studio operations with the creation of Universal City, a self-contained production facility. Fox Film Corporation, founded by William Fox in 1915, expanded rapidly by focusing on distribution and acquiring theaters, laying the groundwork for 20th Century Fox. The Warner Brothers played a crucial role with Warner Brothers, known for its innovative use of synchronized sound. RKO Pictures, established in 1928 from a merger, gained a reputation for high-quality productions and discovering new talent. Films like King Kong and Citizen Kane showcased RKO's innovative spirit and cemented its place in Hollywood history. These founding fathers and early studios laid the groundwork for Hollywood's transformation into a global entertainment powerhouse. Their vision, innovation, and business acumen established the studio system, creating a lasting legacy in the film industry. The silent film era. The silent film era, spanning from the late 1890s to the late 1920s, was a transformative period for Hollywood, laying the groundwork for modern cinema. Filmmakers experimented with narrative techniques, visual storytelling, and special effects, establishing Hollywood as the global center of the film industry. One of the earliest and most influential silent film stars was Charlie Chaplin. Born in London in 1889, Chaplin began his career in vaudeville before moving to the United States. In 1914, he made his film debut with Keystone Studios. His creation of the tramp character with his bowler hat, mustache, and cane became a cultural phenomenon. Chaplin's films such as The Kid, 1921, and The Gold Rush, 1925, showcased his unique blend of comedy and pathos, earning him international acclaim. Mary Pickford, often referred to as America's sweetheart, was another key figure of the silent era. Pickford's career began in 1909 with Biograph Company, and she quickly became one of the most popular actresses of her time. Her roles in films like Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm, 1917, and Pollyanna, 1920, endeared her to audiences. In 1919, Pickford co-founded United Artists with Chaplin, Douglas Fairbanks, and D.W. Griffith, aiming to gain more control over their work and profits. D.W. Griffith was a pioneering director who made significant contributions to the art of filmmaking. His 1915 film, The Birth of a Nation, despite its controversial and racist content, demonstrated the power of film as a storytelling medium. Griffith's innovative techniques, such as cross-cutting and close-ups, influenced generations of filmmakers. In response to the backlash against The Birth of a Nation, Griffith directed Intolerance, 1916, a complex narrative that interwove 4 historical stories to promote a message of tolerance. Another seminal work of the silent era was Metropolis, 1927, directed by Fritz Lang. This German expressionist film depicted a dystopian future and showcased groundbreaking special effects and set design. Metropolis became a blueprint for future science fiction films, highlighting the potential of cinema to explore complex themes and create immersive worlds. The silent era also saw the rise of major studios that shaped the industry. Paramount Pictures, known for its high-quality productions and star-studded rosters, Warner Brothers and Universal Pictures each contributed unique innovations and iconic films. In addition to Chaplin and Pickford, actors like Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd became household names. Keaton, known for his stoic expression and physical comedy, starred in classics like The General, 1926. Lloyd, famous for his daring stunts and bespectacled persona, captivated audiences in films like Safety Last, 1923. The rise of the studio system. The 1920s and 1930s saw the consolidation of the Hollywood studio system, marking the golden age of Hollywood. Major studios like MGM, Paramount, Warner Brothers, and 20th Century Fox dominated film production, distribution, and exhibition. MGM, formed in 1924 through the merger of Metro Pictures, Goldwyn Pictures, and Louis B. Mayer Pictures, became known for lavish productions and star power. Led by Louis B. Mayer and Irving Thalberg, MGM produced hits like The Wizard of Oz, 1939, and Gone with the Wind, 1939. Paramount Pictures focused on feature-length films for middle-class audiences. Paramount acquired theaters nationwide, ensuring wide reach for its films. Its lineup included stars like Marlene Dietrich and Mae West, known for sophisticated and glamorous productions. Warner Brothers was known for gritty, realistic films and pioneering the use of sound. It produced successful sound films, including gangster classics like Little Caesar, 1931, and The Public Enemy, 1931. 20th Century Fox, created in 1935 from the merger of Fox Film Corporation and 20th Century Pictures, became known for high-quality productions and innovative special effects under Darryl F. Zanuck. Films like The Grapes of Wrath, 1940, and How Green Was My Valley, 1941, showcased its commitment to powerful storytelling. The studio system was characterized by vertical integration, with studios controlling production, distribution, and exhibition. This allowed them to maximize profits and minimize risks. The Big Five studios, MGM, Paramount, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, and RKO, dominated the industry, while the Little Three, Universal, Columbia, and United Artists, also played significant roles. A key aspect of the studio system was the star system. Studios signed actors to long-term contracts, grooming them into stars and managing their careers and public images. This system created enduring icons like Clark Gable, Judy Garland, and Humphrey Bogart. While the studio system brought stability and growth to Hollywood, it also had drawbacks. The tight control of studio executives stifled creativity and limited the artistic freedom of directors and writers. However, the system's efficiency and high-quality productions ensured Hollywood's dominance in the global film industry. Hidden controversies and scandals. Hollywood's 1920s glamour hid a series of scandals that rocked the industry and led to significant changes. These incidents not only tarnished reputations, but also spurred the industry to self-regulate and address its image problems. One of the most notorious scandals involved Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle, a beloved silent film comedian. In 1921, Arbuckle was accused of raping and accidentally killing actress Virginia Rappe during a party in San Francisco. The case, sensationalized by the media, led to 3 highly publicized trials. Despite his eventual acquittal, the scandal destroyed Arbuckle's career and highlighted stars' vulnerability to public opinion and media scrutiny. It also exposed the darker side of Hollywood's party culture, which was often hidden from the public eye. In 1922, the mysterious murder of director William Desmond Taylor added to Hollywood's intrigue. Taylor's unsolved murder involved sensational elements like accusations of affairs and involvement in the city's burgeoning drug culture. Suspects included actresses Mabel Normand and Mary Miles Minter, whose careers were tainted by their association with the case. The murder, rife with rumors and speculation, remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries, reflecting the era's mix of glamour and vice. These scandals prompted public outcry against Hollywood's perceived decadence and immorality. In response, the film industry took steps to regulate itself to avoid external censorship and restore public trust. This led to the establishment of the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, MPPDA, in 1922, headed by former Postmaster General Will H. Hays. The organization's primary goal was to clean up Hollywood's image and ensure films were suitable for all audiences. Under Hays's leadership, the MPPDA introduced the Motion Picture Production Code, commonly known as the Hays Code, in 1930. This set of moral guidelines dictated what could and could not be shown on screen, aiming to prevent the depiction of immoral behavior and maintain decency in films. The code was strictly enforced from 1934, with a Production Code Administration Office reviewing and approving scripts before production. This self-censorship helped improve Hollywood's public image, but also stifled creativity and limited the scope of storytelling. The Hays Code remained in effect until the late 1960s, when it was replaced by the MPLA film rating system, which allowed for greater creative freedom while still providing guidance on film content. This transition reflected changing social norms and the increasing demand for more diverse and mature themes in cinema. The introduction of sound. The late 1920s marked a revolutionary shift in the film industry with the advent of sound in movies, forever changing cinema. This talkie revolution began with Warner Brothers' release of The Jazz Singer in 1927, starring Al Jolson. It wasn't the first film with synchronized sound, but it was the first to feature synchronized dialogue and songs in a dramatic context. Jolson's line, "You ain't heard nothing yet," became iconic. The film's success, earning over $2 million, convinced studios that sound was the future. The impact was immediate. Studios rushed to convert facilities and retrain staff. Warner Brothers invested heavily in sound technology, with follow-up films like The Singing Fool, 1928, cementing sound film's popularity. The transition posed challenges. Silent film stars struggled with synchronized dialogue, and many actors with thick accents saw their careers jeopardized. Clara Bow, the It Girl, experienced a decline due to her voice's limitations. Early sound recording equipment was bulky, limiting camera movement. Studios built soundproof stages to control the audio environment. Despite these hurdles, sound sparked creativity. Filmmakers used dialogue, sound effects, and music to enhance storytelling. Musicals like 42nd Street, 1933, and Top Hat, 1935, showcased synchronized music's potential. By the early 1930s, silent films were largely obsolete. Producing sound films was costlier due to new equipment and retraining, but increased box office revenues offset these expenses. Internationally, sound films faced the language barrier, leading studios to experiment with dubbing, subtitles, and multi-language versions. Countries like Germany, France, and Japan began producing their own sound films to compete. The introduction of sound marked the start of the modern film era, transforming cinema's art and business. It paved the way for new genres, storytelling techniques, and technological innovations, ensuring Hollywood's growth during economic uncertainty. The Great Depression and its impact. The Great Depression, beginning with the 1929 stock market crash, profoundly impacted American life, including the film industry. Despite significant challenges, Hollywood adapted and thrived by providing much-needed escapism. As the economy collapsed, millions lost jobs and savings, drastically reducing disposable income. Theater attendance dropped, and many cinemas closed. Major studios faced financial difficulties, leading to layoffs and salary cuts. Hollywood adapted by producing low-cost films known as B-movies, which could be quickly and cheaply made. These films, often shown as part of double features, provided more entertainment for the money. Studios like Universal Pictures and Columbia Pictures specialized in these productions, ensuring a steady stream of content to keep theaters open. Genre films offering escapism also became popular. Musicals, screwball comedies, and adventure films provided temporary relief from daily hardships. Busby Berkeley's musicals like 42nd Street, 1933, dazzled audiences with extravagant choreography. Screwball comedies, characterized by fast-paced dialogue and absurd situations, gained popularity. Frank Capra's It Happened One Night, 1934, offered laughter and romance, winning 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture. Animated films saw significant advancements. Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, 1937, the first full-length animated feature, became the highest-grossing film of its time, proving audiences' eagerness for innovative storytelling. Hollywood also innovated in marketing and distribution. The block booking system, requiring theaters to show a block of films from a single studio, ensured even lesser-known films received screen time. Studios introduced elaborate advertising campaigns to attract viewers. Stars like Shirley Temple, whose films brought hope and joy, became cultural icons. Her performances in Bright Eyes, 1934, and Curly Top, 1935, boosted box office revenues and provided optimism, underscoring Hollywood's role in lifting the nation's spirits. Despite economic hardships, Hollywood thrived during the Great Depression by innovating and adapting. The industry's ability to provide both escapism and socially relevant content maintained its relevance and importance in American life. World War II and propaganda films. As World War II erupted in 1939, Hollywood played a crucial role in the war effort. Cinema was used for propaganda, boosting morale, and documenting the war. Before the U.S. entered the war in December 1941, films like Confessions of a Nazi Spy, 1939, and Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, 1940, criticized Nazi Germany. These films raised awareness about the threat of fascism. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the U.S. government saw cinema's power over public opinion. The Office of War Information, OWI, established in 1942, worked with Hollywood. They produced films that supported the war effort. The OWI reviewed scripts and suggested themes to align films with wartime goals. Notable propaganda films included Casablanca, 1942. Starring Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman, it made a powerful statement against tyranny. War films like Sergeant York, 1941, Mrs. Miniver, 1942, and The Story of G.I. Joe, 1945, showed the bravery of soldiers and civilians. These films inspired patriotism and support for the troops. Hollywood also produced short films and newsreels. These were shown in theaters before the main feature. They provided war updates and encouraged war bond purchases and resource conservation. Animation studios also contributed with military training films and propaganda cartoons like Disney's Der Fuhrer's Face, 1943. Many Hollywood stars enlisted or joined USO tours to entertain troops. Stars like Clark Gable, James Stewart, and Carole Lombard boosted morale for both soldiers and civilians. A significant documentary series was Why We Fight, directed by Frank Capra. This series educated soldiers and the public about America's involvement in the war, using newsreel footage, animations, and dramatic recreations. Post-war Hollywood and the Red Scare. After World War II, Hollywood faced new challenges with the onset of the Cold War and the fear of communism, known as the Red Scare. This era was marked by paranoia and suspicion, significantly impacting the film industry. The House Un-American Activities Committee, CHUAC, established in 1938, turned its focus to Hollywood in the late 1940s. Believing communist sympathizers were using films for propaganda, HUAC began hearings in 1947 to identify alleged communists. The most notable were the Hollywood 10, including screenwriters Dalton Trumbo and Ring Lardner Jr., who refused to cooperate. They were charged with contempt of Congress and imprisoned.